Chapter 95. Moreover, when subduing Jiang Wei, the whole process was done in one go without the slightest sloppiness. At a glance, one could tell that this masked woman was not simple. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other and secretly became vigilant. Jiang Wei was now suffering in silence, unable to voice out his bitterness. He thought that he could use this opportunity to regain some dignity, but he never thought that this woman was the real tigress. What day was it today? Why was he so unlucky? Kid, apologize to this great aunt. The masked woman stepped on Jiang Wei's back and said valiantly. Woo. Jiang Wei wanted to apologize, but his face was so close to the ground that he couldn't open his mouth at all. Miss, how can he apologize to you like this? Qin Feiyang gave a friendly reminder, but in return, he got a fierce look. The masked woman glared at him and loosened her foot. Pay. Jiang Wei spat out the mud in his mouth and hurriedly said, Great aunt, I'm sorry, please spare me. Humph, the next time you offend me, this great aunt will cripple you. The masked woman snorted coldly and kicked Jiang Wei again. Only then did she stop, but she turned around and stared at Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei, saying, Are you with him? Ling Yunfei hurriedly waved his hand and said, No, we just met him by chance. Is that so? The masked woman looked at the two suspiciously, her eyes a little unfriendly. They're right in front, follow me quickly. Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. N? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked in the direction of the sound. Not long after, accompanied by a burst of messy footsteps, the group of playboys who had escaped before came back. However, behind them, there were a few familiar faces. It was the great clan elder and patriarch of the Jiang and Mu families. They really didn't die. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Now, there was no need to ask Jiang Wei anymore. The doubts in his heart had already been answered. At the same time, as soon as the grand elders of the Jiang and Mu families saw Qin Feiyang, a cold light flashed in the depths of their eyes. Sensing the two strange phenomenon, Patriarch Jiang hurriedly said in a low voice, The two little bastards still don't know that we are here to kill them. Don't alert them. Hearing this, the two of them quickly concealed the coldness in their eyes. But secretly, he was already accumulating power and waiting for action. Jiang Haotian, Ling Yunfei, so you're here. I thought you were all killed by the Sawtooth Crocodile King. Those who survive a great disaster are destined for good fortune. Hurry up and come back with us. Everyone is very worried about you. The four of them laughed as they walked towards Qin Feiyang and the other man. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Since when did the Jiang and Mu families treat him so kindly? Something was wrong. Last time, the appearance of the Grand Elder and the others near the crocodiles was definitely not a coincidence. Suddenly, he felt an inexplicable sense of panic. An uneasy premonition swept through his heart like a tide. Run! After shouting at Ling Yunfei, Qin Feiyang turned around and began to flee. Ling Yunfei was stunned for a moment and instantly understood Qin Feiyang's meaning. He hurriedly turned around and followed behind Qin Feiyang, fleeing into the depths of the forest without looking back. We've been discovered? The patriarch and grand elder of the Jiang and Mu family's eyes suddenly sank. Why are you running? We won't hurt you. I admit that we used to have some conflicts with you, but now we've thought it through. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Yeah, more friends, more paths. The four of them hurriedly chased after them, constantly explaining and comforting. Boss Jiang, are you all right? A group of profligate disciples surrounded Jiang Wei. When they saw him covered in dirt, they were all bewildered. Jiang Wei Ao said, I'm the invincible little overlord of Black Bear City. How could something happen to me? The ones who are in trouble now are Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei. These two bastards should be cut into pieces. Then who's she? The group of people looked at the masked woman with suspicion in their eyes. Jiang Wei's pupils suddenly shrank, and he said in a low voice, "Don't provoke her. She's a tigress." The masked woman looked at him unkindly. "That, great aunt, don't misunderstand, I'm not talking about you." Jiang Wei hurriedly waved his hand and explained while retreating. Large beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He was extremely nervous. But the masked woman didn't flip out. She raised her head and looked at the direction where Qin Feiyang and the others disappeared. With a trace of doubt, she turned around and walked towards Black Bear City. Strange, who is this woman? Why haven't I seen her in Black Bear City? But looking at her back, she seems a little familiar. Jiang Wei looked at the masked woman's back, his eyes filled with doubt. The masked woman pondered as she walked out of the forest. Black Bear City immediately came into her sight. She stopped and raised her head to look at the city in front of her. Her face under the mask was full of smiles. "Grandfather, I'm back. How are you?" After muttering to herself, she quickly ran into Black Bear City and went straight to the Pill Hall. The Pill Hall is an important place. Do not trespass. However, she was stopped by the two deacon elders of the Pill Hall on the way. The masked woman politely bowed to the two elders, cupped her hands and said, "Elders, this junior would like to see Elder Feng Cheng and Elder Feng. Would you please inform them?" "See Elder Feng?" The two of them were stunned. One of them asked, "Are you very close to Elder Feng?" The masked woman swallowed her words back. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of slyness. She shook her head and said, "Not very close." The deacon elder said, "Since you're not close, then come back at night." Because Elder Feng is not in the Pill Hall now. Not in the Pill Hall? Then where is he? The masked woman was slightly stunned and asked. "We don't know either. But he will definitely come back at night. You can go somewhere else first," the two deacon elders said. Their attitude was still quite friendly. "Then, sorry to disturb you." The masked woman bowed with a trace of disappointment in her eyes. Then, she turned around and left the Pill Hall. I wonder if Elder Feng and Elder Mo can find Zhang Haotian. If they can't find him, then this kid might really be dead somewhere. But I don't understand. Why does the palace master value this Zhang Haotian so much? The two deacon elders gathered together and discussed softly. At the same time, outside the city, in the forest, the chase was still ongoing. No matter what the Zhang family head and the other three said, Qin Feiyang and the other two ignored them. They only cared about running away. Seeing that the two of them were so stubborn, the four of them gradually lost their patience. The Mu family head said furiously, "Today, don't even think about returning to Black Bear City alive." The fox's tail was finally revealed. Qin Feiyang sneered, "You're all hypocrites. Why do you have to pretend to be a good person? You're still so stubborn when you're about to die. How stupid. What you should do now is not to run away, but to kneel down and beg for mercy. If we're in a good mood, maybe we'll let you live." The four of them laughed again and again. The distance was constantly narrowing. The four of them were all martial arts masters. With the speed of Qin Feiyang and the other two, how could they escape? Ling Yunfei looked at the four people behind him and whispered, "Qin Feiyang, they have made up their minds to kill us. We have to think of a way as soon as possible." "I know." Qin Feiyang scanned the front, looking for a place to hide. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a group of rocks dozens of meters ahead. Suddenly, a plan came to his mind. The two of them were as fast as lightning and quickly ran into the group of rocks. The Jiang family head and the other three also chased in the next moment after they entered the group of rocks. But when they chased in, they were shocked to find that the two of them had disappeared. What's going on? Where are they? Could it be that these two little beasts can go up to the sky and into the earth? Destroy this place. We have to find them even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Otherwise, the city lord will not give us a good fruit to eat. Bang bang bang. Boom. Crack. The four of them were furious. Their true chi surged and crazily bombarded the group of rocks. The sound shook the sky. Dust and smoke covered the sky and the sun. In a short while, this place was razed to the ground. But when the dust cleared, not even a shadow of a ghost was seen. The four of them looked gloomy. What should we do? The Mu family head said. What else can we do? The two little beasts are like with wings. We definitely can't find them. Let's just wait for them and squat near the 4 city gates. As soon as they appear, we will quickly kill them. The Mu family head said. That's a good idea. Even if they don't appear, it doesn't matter. As long as we can stop them from entering the Danwang Hall and the Martial King Hall, there is nothing to worry about. There will be plenty of ways to kill them in the future. The Jiang family head nodded. The Jiang family head said in a deep voice, then we will act separately. Remember, we must not let them sneak into the city. The four of them immediately turned around and rushed toward the Black Bear City. Soon, Qin Feiyang and the other two appeared out of thin air. Their faces were very ugly. Blocking the 4 city gates is tantamount to cutting off all their escape routes. These people really deserve to be punished. Ling Yunfei pondered for a moment and asked, Qin Feiyang, do you have any illusion pills on you? Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, no, but even with the illusion pills, it is not easy to sneak into the city. The two families and the city lord's mansion have joined forces to block them. Entering the city is more difficult than ascending to the sky. Ling Yunfei suddenly became angry and shouted, bastard, sooner or later I will catch them all in one net, especially that bullshit city lord. If I don't kill him, I will not be satisfied. Qin Feiyang said, we will talk about this later. Let's split up and see if we can find a chance to survive. We will meet here later. Ling Yunfei nodded. The two of them ran around the Black Bear City. As a result, they found that not only the city gates were heavily guarded, but even the city walls were also heavily guarded. Not to mention a person, even a fly would not be able to fly in. If this goes on, how are we going to go to the Danwang Hall and the Martial Imperial Hall? Ling Yunfei was extremely vexed. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he said excitedly, not long ago, other than the Jiang and Mu families, there were many people who saw us. They will definitely spread the news. When the hall master and Luo Xiong receive the news, they should come to save us, right? Qin Feiyang sneered, don't be so naive. Once the city lord gives the order, who would dare to say anything? Ling Yunfei's heart sank. The current situation was even more serious than he had imagined. However, it's not like there's no turning point. Qin Feiyang suddenly spoke again. What turning point? Ling Yunfei hurriedly looked at him, his eyes full of anticipation. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said, go to Black Bear Mountain and find the Black Bear King. Find the Black Bear King? Chapter 96. Qin Feiyang and Chang Shui cut through all obstacles and only arrived at the deepest part of the Black Bear King late at night. Tonight, there was no moon or stars. Dark clouds covered the sky. The air was a little stuffy. The surroundings were also pitch black. Senior Bear King, where are you? If you hear us, respond to us. The two of them could only hold torches and shout as they walked in the forest. Although they had some dealings with the Black Bear King, they did not know the location of the Black Bear King's lair. Wolf King knew, but he was unconscious at the moment and did not know when he would wake up, so they could only slowly search by themselves. This damned weather is really unbearable. Ling Yunfei walked in front, holding a dagger. As he cleared the path, he muttered, looking rather irritated. Qin Feiyang looked at the sky and said worriedly, it should rain later. If we can't find the Black Bear King before it rains, we'll be in big trouble. If it was just a light rain, the impact would not be great. But if it was a rainstorm, the traces of the Black Bear King's activities would be washed away. At that time, it would undoubtedly be more difficult to find the Black Bear King. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang noticed that a black shadow rushed out from the grass in front of them. Be careful. He hurriedly pushed Ling Yunfei away, grabbed Chang Shui with his left hand, and swung at the black shadow. Squeak. At that moment, blood suddenly appeared. A strange sound rang out. A palm-sized scorpion fell on the grass at Qin Feiyang's feet, its body already cut in half by Chang Shui. Killer scorpion. Ling Yunfei's eyes widened as he scanned the surroundings, not daring to be distracted. The appearance of the killer scorpion meant that there were definitely other poisonous insects lurking nearby. Although these poisonous creatures did not look very eye-catching, they were all cold-blooded killers who killed without blinking. Rustle. Whatever he thought of came. The surrounding weeds began to sway violently. When the two of them focused their gazes, their scalps immediately exploded and their faces turned pale. Not only were there groups of killer scorpions, but there were also fist-sized poisonous frogs, palm-sized poisonous spiders, meter-long poisonous snakes, and so on. All of them were poisonous creatures that struck fear in people's hearts. A nest of poisonous insects? Qin Feiyang's face twitched. A few days ago, they had accidentally barged into the nest of the crocodiles. Now, they had entered the nest of the poisonous insects. Wasn't their luck too heaven-defying? Ling Yunfei said, "It's the light of the fire that attracted them. Quickly put out the fire. Don't, we'll only die faster." Qin Feiyang hurriedly stopped Ling Yunfei. Once the torches were extinguished, their vision went dark. When the poisonous insects swarmed them, they had no way to fight back. But now, even if there were torches and they could see them, it seemed that only death awaited them. Because there were simply too many of them. Even if they had 3 heads and 6 arms, they wouldn't be able to kill all of them. Whoosh! Those poisonous creatures gradually approached, and when they were within the attack range, they rushed out and pounced on the two of them. This scene was enough to make anyone tremble in fear. Qin Feiyang didn't dare to hesitate. He hurriedly brought Ling Yunfei and hid in the castle. What should we do now? The two of them were burning with anxiety. They were surrounded by poisonous insects. They didn't dare to go out. If they couldn't go out, how could they find the Black Bear King? Phew. Qin Feiyang took a few deep breaths, trying to calm down his anxious heart. Let's wait for a while. If they can't find us, they should leave. At the same time. Outside the pill hall. Why isn't Grandpa back yet? The masked lady sat alone on the stone stairs. She supported her chin with both hands and looked at the street in front of her. Her eyes were filled with doubts. Duh. Nobody knew how long had passed. A series of steady footsteps could be heard. The masked lady was happy. She hurriedly ran to the street and looked to the left. Immediately, he saw 2 old men walking over with large strides. They were Feng Cheng and Elder Mo. But at this moment, the two of them were more frustrated than anyone else. They had searched every corner of the city carefully, but there was still no news of Qin Feiyang. Until now. They couldn't help but believe that this kid might have really been assassinated. But seeing the two of them, the masked lady was overjoyed. She quickly ran over and stopped in front of the two of them. She cupped her hands and said, "Greetings, Elder Feng and Elder Mo, get lost." Feng Cheng shouted. He didn't even look at her. He lowered his head and walked past the masked lady. This made the masked lady a little stunned. Elder Mo glanced at Feng Cheng and smiled helplessly. He asked, "Little girl, what's the matter?" The masked lady realized that she didn't know what to say. She was straightforward. She took off her mask. "It's you." After seeing the lady's face, Elder Mo instantly exclaimed. He hurriedly shouted at Feng Cheng, "Old Feng, quickly come and see who she is." "I'm not in the mood," Feng Cheng said without turning his head. Elder Mo's face darkened. He scolded, "You old bastard, you don't even recognize your granddaughter?" Granddaughter? Feng Cheng was stunned. He hurriedly turned around and looked at the masked lady. He was instantly overjoyed. He quickly walked in front of the lady and said, "Little girl, when did you come back? Why didn't you inform Grandpa in advance? Grandpa could have gone to pick you up. I just wanted to give you a surprise. But you actually ignored me. I'm so sad." The masked lady felt wronged. Feng Cheng smiled with a doting face and said, "Yes, yes, yes. It's Grandpa's fault. Grandpa will apologize to you. But why are you wearing a mask?" The masked lady went up and hugged Feng Cheng's old arm. She giggled and said, "Isn't it because your granddaughter is born beautiful? She's always being pestered by people, so I can only wear a mask to cover myself." Feng Cheng was speechless. He scolded with a smile, "Little girl, when did you learn to be narcissistic? But this is good too. It can save a lot of trouble." The masked lady giggled. She asked curiously, "Grandpa, Elder Mo, I saw that you were frowning just now. Did you encounter something troubling you?" Elder Mo sighed, "It's a long story." Feng Cheng said, "Little girl, you don't know. This time, a good seedling came to our pill hall. Unfortunately, her whereabouts are still unknown." Good seedling? The masked lady was stunned. She understood the temper of the two old men in front of her very well. Ordinary people couldn't enter their eyes at all. She asked curiously, "Is he more powerful than Cheng Yi?" "Him?" Feng Cheng said disdainfully, "In front of that stinking brat, Cheng Yi is not even worth a fart. Is it that exaggerated?" The masked lady was shocked. "It's not exaggerated at all." Elder Mo shook his head. The masked lady asked, "Then who is he? Since you value him so much, he must be very famous." Elder Mo said, "His name is Jiang Haotian. He just came to Black Bear City not long ago." "Wait." The masked lady reached out her hand. Her beautiful eyebrows were tightly knitted. "What's wrong?" The two looked at her, puzzled. The masked lady said, "Is it a young man who is about 15 or 16 years old, wearing sackcloth and looking like a scholar?" "Yes, it's him." "Little girl, how did you know?" The two were surprised. The masked lady said, "When I came back, I met him in the forest outside. There seemed to be a blue-haired, blue-eyed person beside him. It was Ling Yunfei. They didn't die." The two looked at each other. They were so excited that their bodies were trembling. The masked lady said again, "But at that time, the Jiang and Mu clans' patriarchs and grand elders were chasing after them. Do you know the reason?" "What?" Damn it, damn it." Immediately, the two's expression changed, and they cursed angrily. "Old Mo, go and inform the hall master and the martial arts hall master immediately. Ask them to quickly bring people to meet up with me. Little girl, quickly bring Grandpa to that forest." Feng Cheng urged. "All right." The masked lady nodded. After putting on the mask, she led Feng Cheng and ran out of the city. "Jiang clan, Mu clan, you've gone too far this time." Elder Mo also turned and strode towards the pill hall. His eyes were filled with killing intent. In the deepest part of Black Bear Mountain, Ling Yunfei asked, "They should have scattered by now, right?" "I'll go out and take a look," Qin Feiyang said. But as soon as he went out, he immediately returned to the ancient castle and shouted at Ling Yunfei, "Quickly help me." On his ankle, a fist-sized poisonous spider was biting his skin. His entire thigh was turning black at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Ling Yunfei's expression changed. He hurriedly took out a dagger and killed the poisonous spider with one slash. Then, he took out an antidote pill and fed it to Qin Feiyang. Until now. The two of them let out a long breath. Ling Yunfei frowned and said, "Those poisonous insects didn't leave?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and said helplessly, it seems like we won't be able to get out in a short period of time. Although they had the antidote pill, the number of poisonous insects was too large. They could eat their flesh in minutes. Not even their bones would be left. About half an hour later, Wolf King finally woke up. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. He immediately went up and asked with concern, "How do you feel?" Wolf King got up and moved around a few times. His eyes were filled with grief. He said with anger, "Little Qin Zi, Brother Wolf is crippled." What? The joy in Qin Feiyang's heart was instantly extinguished by the raging anger. However, Wolf King suddenly grinned and said with a smile, "I lied to you. Brother Wolf is very good now. His spirit is very good." Bastard. Qin Feiyang was stunned and suddenly became angry. He slapped Wolf King's head and shouted, "How can you joke about this kind of thing? Believe it or not, I'll really cripple you now." Wolf King shrank his neck and said with a smile, "Sorry, I just wanted to make a little joke with you." Humph. Qin Feiyang snorted and asked, "Aren't you usually very alert? How could Mu Fei and the others run into you? Didn't Brother Wolf get tired of playing in Black Bear Mountain? He wanted to come back to find you. But when Brother Wolf came back, he heard that you had disappeared. Brother Wolf was so anxious that he immediately went all over the mountain to find you. As a result, he was accidentally found by them." Mentioning this, a ferocious glint flashed in the Wolf King's huge eyes. Heard it. Qin Feiyang was moved. With Wolf King's vigilance, this kind of thing was impossible. It was because of his disappearance that Wolf King was anxious and lost his vigilance, so he was discovered. Chapter 97. Wolf King said with a sneaky smile, "Are you touched? Do you want to cry? Then cry. Don't hold it in. No one will laugh at you. Get lost." Qin Feiyang kicked him. This guy really didn't change. Wolf King quickly dodged and smiled. When he noticed Ling Yunfei next to him, he asked, "Why is he here?" His eyes instantly turned cold. "He already knows my identity." Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation at that time. "So it's like that." Wolf King suddenly understood. He turned his eyes and looked at Ling Yunfei. "How are you going to thank Brother Wolf?" "Who's talking?" Ling Yunfei was surprised. Wolf King could only use telepathy now. Therefore, Ling Yunfei didn't hear the conversation with Qin Feiyang just now. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind, making him turn pale with fright. But then, he came to a sudden realization. There was only him, Qin Feiyang, and Wolf King here. Who would call himself Brother Wolf? Without any suspense, it must be the wolf in front of him. He looked down at Wolf King and wondered, "Why should I thank you?" "Hee, it seems that you still don't know. Do you think that with your little brain, you can get rid of Butler Ling's pursuit?" Wolf King looked at him disdainfully. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Originally, he really thought that with his own ability, he could get rid of Butler Ling. But now that Wolf King said this, and thinking about it carefully, it seemed that there were indeed many things that were strange. Wolf King said, "Let me tell you, if it weren't for Brother Wolf secretly helping you, you would have been killed by Butler Ling. In the end, it was Brother Wolf who went to ask Black Bear King for help. So that's how it is." Ling Yunfei suddenly understood and quickly said, "Thank you, Brother Wolf." Qin Feiyang, "Thank you too." Without a doubt. It was definitely Qin Feiyang who asked Wolf King to protect him in secret. What's the use of just saying thanks? Why don't you just be Brother Wolf's follower from now on? I guarantee that you'll live a good life. Wolf King said shamelessly. Ugh. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Become a wolf's follower? Wouldn't that be too embarrassing? The atmosphere was a little awkward. At this crucial moment, Qin Feiyang stood out and smiled. All right, stop messing around. Let's get down to business. Do you know where the Black Bear King's lair is? Wolf King said proudly, "Nonsense. Let me tell you, there is nothing in this world that I don't know. Will you die if you stop bragging?" Qin Feiyang couldn't help rolling his eyes. A leopard cannot change its spots. This saying was indeed true. He looked at Ling Yunfei and said, "The white-eyed wolf knows where the Black Bear King's lair is. Now the only problem is, how do we rush out of the poisonous insect nest?" Ling Yunfei pondered for a moment and said, "I'll go out and lure them away. You guys take the opportunity to find the Black Bear King. Don't forget to come back and collect my corpse." Qin Feiyang asked, "Aren't you afraid of death?" "Everyone is afraid of death. But since I've already promised to be your sword, I should naturally rush to the front and solve your problems." Ling Yunfei's gaze was firm and powerful. Qin Feiyang looked at him and said, "Aren't you afraid that your mother will be sad?" Ling Yunfei hesitated. "All right, I'll go out. As a son, filial piety should be the most important. To be honest, sometimes I envy you. Although your background is miserable, at least your mother is by your side. And me? It's an extravagant wish to even look at her." Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed at himself. Ling Yunfei was stunned and asked, "Could it be that your mother is already, she's still alive? But there's an insurmountable and unbreakable gap between us." Qin Feiyang sighed deeply, took an antidote, and left the castle. Ling Yunfei frowned and looked down at Wolf King. "Brother Wolf, don't you think that Qin Feiyang has a lot of worries in his heart?" "Brother Wolf already knows. But if he doesn't say, Brother Wolf won't ask. The only thing I can do is to help him silently and support him," the Wolf King said with a smile. His words were filled with deep friendship. Outside. Whoosh. Squeak. Hiss. Qin Feiyang held a torch in one hand and Chang Shui in the other as he sped through the forest. Around him, swarms of poisonous insects shot out from the weeds, bushes, and treetops. They bared their fangs and pounced on him. That creepy cry made one's scalp tingle. "No, there are too many poisonous insects. If this goes on, I'll be swallowed alive by them." Qin Feiyang's face was as heavy as water. In less than 5 breaths, his whole body was crawling with poisonous insects, biting his skin. There were even a few poisonous spiders that tore his flesh and were drilling into his body. There was already an unknown amount of poison in his body. Even the antidote was too late to dissolve it. Fainting came sweeping over. Crack. Boom. Just as he was about to enter the castle. In the sky, lightning suddenly flashed and thunder rumbled, deafening. The poisonous insects on Qin Feiyang's body seemed to be frightened and turned around to flee into the grass. In the blink of an eye, not a single one was left. All of them were gone. Woo-woo, crash, strong winds blew. Torrential rain poured. The storm that had been brewing for a long time finally arrived. The towering trees were all bent in an instant. Qin Feiyang was caught off guard and was directly sent flying. He hurriedly hugged a big tree and stabilized himself. Following closely. With a thought, Wolf King and Ling Yunfei both appeared. Wolf King shouted excitedly, "Wow, it's so cool. Cool your sister, hurry up and lead the way." Qin Feiyang shouted angrily and couldn't help but curse. This white-eyed wolf was really too unreliable. At this time, he still had the mood to shout and shout. "Oh, oh, oh." Wolf King nodded repeatedly, glanced around, and ran to the right, saying, "Follow Brother Wolf." Wolves were originally nocturnal creatures. In their eyes, there was no difference between night and day. But Qin Feiyang didn't run a few steps before he suddenly fell to the ground and stopped moving. "Qin Feiyang." Ling Yunfei immediately stepped forward and turned Qin Feiyang over. His expression suddenly changed. Qin Feiyang's face was frighteningly white at this moment, like a dead man's face. However, his lips seemed to be painted with a layer of ink. His breathing and heartbeat were also extremely weak. It was obviously a sign of poisoning death. At this time, the torch in Ling Yunfei's hand was also extinguished in the storm. For the two of them, it was undoubtedly one disaster after another. "Brother Wolf, Qin Feiyang is dying, come and see." Ling Yunfei roared helplessly in the rain. Heard. Wolf King hurriedly turned around and ran back. When he saw Qin Feiyang's situation, his pupils suddenly became distressed and he said angrily, "Didn't he take the antidote pill in advance? How could it be like this?" Ling Yunfei said anxiously, "The antidote pill can indeed detoxify, but there are at least a dozen kinds of toxins in his body now. The poison is too deep. If we don't think of a way, I'm afraid his life will be in danger." "Damn it." Wolf King cursed angrily and urged, "Hurry up and carry little Qin Zi to my back. I'll take you to the Black Bear King. It may have a way." Ling Yunfei hurriedly picked up Qin Feiyang and turned over to sit on Wolf King's back. Fortunately, Wolf King's eyes could shine in the dark. Fortunately, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, so their eyes were not dark. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for Ling Yunfei to ride on Wolf King's back. "Continue to give him the antidote pill." The Wolf King exhorted and howled crazily as it sprinted away. But the howl was drowned out by the thunder. Half an hour later, Wolf King came to a canyon, panting. It was so tired after carrying two people and running for so long that it couldn't howl. But it gritted its teeth and continued to run deeper into the canyon. Bang! Halfway through, its limbs suddenly went soft and it fell down. Two people and a wolf rolled into the mud. "Little Qin Zi!" Wolf King exclaimed. It wanted to get up, but its limbs were weak and it had lost consciousness. It couldn't crawl at all. "Brother Wolf, is the Black Bear King here?" Ling Yunfei asked. Wolf King said, yes, it's in the deepest part of the canyon. Hurry up and carry little Qin Zi to find it." After Ling Yunfei carried Ling Yunfei away, Wolf King used all its strength and howled to the sky. Then, it completely collapsed and fell into the mud. It was washed by the heavy rain and fell unconscious. This wolf howl resounded through the night sky. Even the sound of thunder couldn't cover it. Roar! The next moment, a loud beast roar sounded in the deepest part of the canyon. It was as if it was responding to Wolf King. Hearing this beast roar, Ling Yunfei was overjoyed. He used the return to origin steps and ran away. Soon, a little flame entered his line of sight. Crack! A bolt of lightning struck down, illuminating the night sky. Although it was only for a moment, he clearly captured it. At the end of the canyon, there stood a mountain peak that was hundreds of feet high. In the night, it was like a ferocious beast lying there. There was a huge cave at the foot of the mountain, and the fire came from inside the cave. Next to the cave, there were two huge creatures. It was the Black Bear King and the Black Bear Cub. "Why are you here?" When it saw Ling Yunfei, the Black Bear King was quite surprised. Plop! Ling Yunfei strode to the Black Bear King and knelt in the mud, begging, "Senior Bear King, please save Qin Feiyang." Slightly stunned, the Black Bear King lowered its head and looked at Qin Feiyang, who was in Ling Yunfei's arms. Its pupils constricted. "Hurry, carry him in." It turned and walked into the cave. Ling Yunfei got up hurriedly and followed in. Although it was a bear's den, it was tidy, clean and extremely huge. Even with the Black Bear King's massive body, it could move freely. A bonfire burned in the middle. It illuminated the entire cave. The Black Bear King said, "Put him there." Ling Yunfei nodded and placed Qin Feiyang on a pile of hay before retreating to the side. The Black Bear King bent down and observed carefully for a moment before frowning. "Did you give him a lot of antidote elixirs?" "Yes, at least 7 or 8 of them." At this point, Ling Yunfei's expression changed and he asked, "Is there a problem?" The Black Bear King shook its head. No, no, no. It's all thanks to you giving him antidote elixirs that he's still alive. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. Ling Yunfei heaved a sigh of relief. Senior, do you have a way to save him? I'm not confident. After a moment of silence, the Black Bear King shook its head. Chapter 98. The Black Bear King's strength was monstrous, and even the big shots of Black Bear City were wary of it. Now that even it wasn't confident, who else could save Qin Feiyang? Originally, if Qin Feiyang died, Ling Yunfei should be happy. Because this way, he would be able to break free and regain his freedom. But at this moment, he was extremely sad. The Black Bear King looked at him and said, "Not confident doesn't mean there's no hope. Don't be discouraged, do as this king says." Heard it. Ling Yunfei's spirit was lifted, he raised his head and looked at the Black Bear King expectantly. The Black Bear King said, "Cut his wrists and ankles and let out blood." What? Ling Yunfei was shocked. Qin Feiyang was already very weak. If he let out more blood, wouldn't he die on the spot? The Black Bear King said in a deep voice, "There's no other choice now. His blood is full of poison. If you want to save him, you can only let out the blood in his body. You still have to let it out." Ling Yunfei's eyes widened in anger. "What are you still hesitating for? Hurry up." The Black Bear King roared, obviously losing his patience. Ling Yunfei's body trembled, he hurriedly took out his dagger and squatted beside Qin Feiyang. But suddenly, as if he thought of something, he turned to look at the Black Bear King and said, "Senior Bear King, Wolf King is still outside. I don't know how the situation is now, can you help it?" The Black Bear King nodded and growled at the Black Bear Cub. When the Black Bear Cub heard this, it immediately ran out of the cave excitedly and disappeared into the rain. Who? Ling Yunfei took a deep breath, turned around to look at Qin Feiyang, and muttered, "Please, you must survive." Then he held the dagger in his hand and cut open a bloody wound on Qin Feiyang's feet and hands. Black-colored blood immediately gushed out violently. There was also a foul stench that assailed their nostrils. "That blood is now equivalent to a highly toxic poison, don't touch it." The Black Bear King warned and turned to walk into the depths of the cave. There was actually a secret door inside. Rumble. Pushing open the hidden door, a dazzling golden light shone out. It was a huge pile of gold coins. Like a small mountain, they piled up in the dark room. Ling Yunfei turned his head and looked curiously. He immediately swallowed his saliva. How much wealth had the Black Bear King accumulated over the years? This was the true definition of a rich man, so rich that oil flowed out of him. A short while later, the Black Bear King walked out of the secret room and closed the secret door. When he came to Ling Yunfei's side, he threw a palm-sized metal box to Ling Yunfei. "There are 3 life blood pills inside. When the blood in his body is almost drained, give him one. This is all I can do. Whether he can survive or not will depend on his willpower." The Black Bear King said. "Thank you, Senior Bear King." Ling Yunfei bowed and thanked him. At this moment, the Black Bear Cub carried the Wolf King into the cave. "How is it?" Ling Yunfei hurriedly stepped forward, his face full of worry. The Black Bear Cub growled a few times and put the Wolf King on the ground. The Black Bear King explained, "This bastard Wolf Cub just fainted from exhaustion. He will be fine after resting for a while." Ling Yunfei breathed a sigh of relief. But immediately after, his expression became a little strange. Bastard Wolf Cub? Why did the Black Bear King's tone sound like he didn't like Wolf King? He didn't think too much about it. Sitting next to Qin Feiyang, he paid close attention to Qin Feiyang's situation. After dozens of breaths, Qin Feiyang's heartbeat and breathing had become extremely weak. His life was hanging by a thread. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei hurriedly gave him the first life blood pill. The life blood pill had the effect of creating blood. And the effect was extremely good. With the birth of new blood, Qin Feiyang's situation finally improved. The color of the blood flowing out of the wound was gradually changing. From black, it slowly turned dark red. Then from dark red, it turned into light dark red. After the effect of the second life blood pill passed, the blood that flowed out was already not much different from the blood of a normal person. However, it was also mixed with poison. Because at the beginning, Qin Feiyang had already entered the state of being poisoned to the heart. The poison had already integrated into his internal organs. It was impossible to completely eliminate it all at once. His condition has stabilized. It's a close call. Now, give him the third life blood pill. After a while, give him a healing pill and an antidote pill. The antidote pill should be able to dissolve all the poison remaining in his body. The Black Bear King laughed. Ling Yunfei nodded and did as he was told. Unknowingly, the sky was white and everything woke up. But the rain did not stop, the wind did not disperse, and the sky and earth seemed particularly dark. After a nap, I feel refreshed. Wolf King also finally woke up. After asking Ling Yunfei about Qin Feiyang's situation, he walked to the entrance of the cave alone and looked at the dark sky, his eyes flashing with a terrifying murderous light. Thank heavens, little Qin's life is finally saved. However, Brother Wolf will not let go of those who hurt little Qin Zi. He muttered. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and turned his head to look into the depths of the cave. His gaze was fixed on the secret door. The Black Bear King seemed to have been watching him. He suddenly glared and shouted, Wolf Cub, you'd better get rid of the thoughts in your head immediately, or don't blame me for being hostile. What thoughts? I don't know what you're talking about. Wolf King turned his head to look elsewhere with a guilty conscience, but his eyes kept rolling. At a glance, one could tell that he was up to no good. No, I have to get him to leave quickly, or he'll definitely have other ideas. The Black Bear King muttered secretly. Cough. At this moment, a coughing sound could be heard. I want water, following closely. A weak and powerless voice sounded intermittently in the cave. Qin Feiyang. Ling Yunfei was the first to react and hurriedly squatted beside Qin Feiyang. Seeing that Qin Feiyang wanted to get up, he hurriedly said, Don't, you're still very weak, don't move. Wolf King also immediately ran up and said excitedly, Little Qin Zi, you're finally awake. Brother Wolf doesn't have to collect your corpse. Ling Yunfei said angrily, Ba, do you know how to talk? If you don't, then shut up. The Black Bear King and the Black Bear Cub also looked at him with disdain. Wolf King was a little embarrassed and laughed dryly. Qin Feiyang weakly glanced at Wolf King and said, I'm very thirsty, find me some water, lie down, I'll go find some water. Ling Yunfei nodded, got up, looked at the Black Bear King, and asked, Senior, is there any well water here? Well water? The Black Bear King looked at Ling Yunfei strangely. Was there something wrong with this kid's head? How could there be any well water in the wilderness? It said lightly, there is no well water, but there is ready-made rainwater. You can think of a way. Rainwater? Ling Yunfei frowned, grabbed the iron box with the life blood pill, and ran out of the cave. He came to a small tree and caught the rainwater on the leaves. Soon, the iron box was filled more than half. He hurried back to the cave and came to Qin Feiyang's side. He helped Qin Feiyang up with one hand and held the iron box with the other. He brought it to Qin Feiyang's mouth and said with a smile, Drink slowly. Thank you. Qin Feiyang gave his thanks and started to gulp it down. Ling Yunfei said, If it wasn't for you, I would have died in the poisonous insect's nest, so the person who should be thanking you is me. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and reached out to push the iron box away. He glanced around the cave and his gaze fell on the Black Bear King. He said with a smile, Senior, it seems that this junior owes you another favor. The Black Bear King said, you saved this king's child. This time, take it as repaying your favor. Qin Feiyang didn't say anything more, and carefully sensed the condition of his body. Other than feeling weak all over, there was no discomfort. You've already woken up, so you should leave. The Black Bear King suddenly ordered them to leave. Leave? Wolf King was stunned and said angrily, "Can't you see that little Qin Zi doesn't even have the strength to stand up? It's raining heavily outside, and the forest is also full of danger. You want us to leave now? Isn't it obvious that you want us to send ourselves to death?" Ling Yunfei also stood up and cupped his hands. "Senior Bear King, in fact, we risked our lives to come here this time to ask for your help." "What kind of help?" The Black Bear King said. "We were blocked by the two families and the city lord's mansion." Ling Yunfei immediately explained the details of the situation in a simple and clear manner. After listening, the Black Bear King pondered for a moment and shook his head. "This king can't help you with this matter." "Why?" Ling Yunfei asked anxiously. The Black Bear King said, "Do you know why this king and the people of Black Bear City have been able to live in peace?" Ling Yunfei shook his head. "It's because this king has never interfered in the affairs of you humans. Although this king's strength is stronger than those people of Black Bear City, it is only limited to Black Bear City. In other places, such as Yen City and Xingyue City, there are countless humans who are stronger than this king. Actually, in the end, this king doesn't want to attract trouble. Do you understand?" The Black Bear King said. Ling Yunfei said unwillingly, "Then the beast tied last time." Before he could finish, the Black Bear King said, "The beast tied is because they hurt this king's child. If not for this king would never have done this." Ling Yunfei's brows were tightly knitted, and his face was quite ugly. He had narrowly escaped death to find the Black Bear King, but he didn't expect the other party to be unwilling to help. What should he do? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Since that's the case, then let's go. But it's useless for us to go back now," Ling Yunfei hurriedly said. "Senior Bear King's concerns are not wrong. We can't be so selfish." Qin Feiyang smiled, raised his head and looked at the Black Bear King, his face full of apology, and said, "Senior, I'm sorry, this junior didn't think it through and caused you trouble." The Black Bear King was a little surprised. It had originally thought that Qin Feiyang would definitely pester it to death, but who would have thought that he would be so sensible? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said with a smile, "Help me up." Sigh. Ling Yunfei sighed deeply, reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyang's arm, and slowly helped him up. Qin Feiyang then looked at Wolf King and laughed, "White-eyed wolf, I'll have to trouble you to carry me back. There's nothing I can do about it. Who asked Brother Wolf to get into trouble with you? Come on." Wolf King helplessly walked in front of Qin Feiyang. But at this time, the Black Bear King's eyes flashed, and suddenly said, "Wait. No need for you to send us off, we can leave on our own." Wolf King was very unhappy now, because it knew that the Black Bear King's order to leave so quickly was purely targeted at it. The Black Bear King sighed, "This king will send you off, but this king will not go near the Black Bear City. Whether or not you can enter the city will depend on your luck, but you cannot mention this matter to anyone, and even more so, you cannot tell anyone that you have anything to do with this king." "Thank you, Senior Bear King. The two of us will definitely keep our mouths shut." Chapter 99. With the help of the Black Bear King, their journey was unimpeded. In less than 2 hours, they arrived at the edge of the Black Bear Mountain. The Black Bear King stopped in front of a small hill. From here, they could clearly see the Black Bear City. Qin Feiyang, Ling Yunfei, and Wolf King jumped down from the Black Bear King's shoulder and landed on the ground. The Black Bear King said, "This king will send you here." Qin Feiyang's strength had also recovered a lot. He cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, Senior. We'll meet again." The Black Bear King smiled and said, "Hurry up and go. You must enter the Danwang Hall and the Martial King Palace, because these two forces are the only shortcut for you humans to reach the heavens in one step. We will. The two nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Wolf King into the castle. Then, he and Ling Yunfei turned around and walked towards the Black Bear City. This human kid is not simple. The Black Bear King looked at Qin Feiyang's back and muttered to himself. It didn't leave. Its eyes were fixed on Qin Feiyang and Mu Tiannan. Be careful. Qin Feiyang warned in a low voice. Ling Yunfei whispered. The two of them listened to their surroundings and looked around. If there was any movement, they would stop and check. After confirming that there was no danger, they continued to move forward. Because they were worried that the Jiang and Mu families and the city lord's mansion's people might be lying in ambush nearby. There was no danger along the way. The two of them came to the edge of the forest. If they took another step forward, they would have a wide field of vision. So, before they walked out, they first had to make sure that there was no danger. The two of them lay in the grass and looked towards the city gate. Here, they could clearly see the faces of the people guarding the city gate. When the two of them saw it, they were immediately surprised. In front of the city gate. In addition to the guards of the city lord's mansion, there were people from other forces. It's Gu Ba. Qin Feiyang looked and was overjoyed. Gu Ba stood in the middle of the city gate, so it was particularly eye-catching. Gu Ba? Ling Yunfei thought carefully and said with surprise, if I didn't remember wrongly, he seems to be the Pill Hall's managing elder? That's right. Qin Feiyang said. Ling Yunfei was overjoyed. Since he's here, does that mean that the hall master and the others have received the news? Definitely. Qin Feiyang nodded heavily. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Ling Yunfei could not wait to get up and run out of the jungle. Senior Bear King, although I didn't help much, I still have to thank you. Qin Feiyang also stood up and turned to look at the Black Bear King in front of the small hill, his face full of gratitude. Go. The Black Bear King opened its mouth and spat out these two words. Take care. Qin Feiyang said silently, then turned around and chased after Ling Yunfei. At the same time, he waved his hand and shouted, Elder Gu, I'm here. This voice? Gu Ba was bewildered. Following the sound, he was immediately overjoyed. He immediately ran toward Qin Feiyang and the other man. However, the eyes of the guards shone with a cold light. Seems like there's nothing for me to do. The Black Bear King smiled and turned to leave. But, without waiting for it to take a step. Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise came from behind. It was slightly stunned and turned around to look. Its pupils suddenly shrank. At the same time, Gu Ba's face also changed. He saw, in front of Qin Feiyang, two masked men in black broke out of the ground. In their hands, they each held a 3-feet-long sword that was shining with shocking sharpness. As soon as the two of them appeared, they rushed towards Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei like lightning. Stop! Seeing this, Gu Ba was anxious. With a roar, he hurried to rescue them. But this change came too suddenly. Moreover, the distance between the two masked men and Qin Feiyang was only 5 or 6 meters. Gu Ba couldn't come to rescue them in time. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei were also caught off guard by this change. They never thought that, with Gu Ba in charge, there would be people lying in ambush underground, waiting for an opportunity to kill them. These people were simply desperados. Qingfeng. Close at hand. Qingfeng. Straight to the heart of the two. Obviously, the two masked men in black wanted to kill them with one blow. At this moment, Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei's situation could be said to be hanging by a thread. Even the two of them felt that half of their feet had already stepped into the gates of hell. Roar! But at this moment, A loud and clear roar of a beast suddenly exploded in the forest behind them. The roar directly covered the thunder. It was as if a king had appeared in the world, bringing with him a terrifying pressure. Not only did it shake people's ears, but even the blood in the body was uncontrollably surging. The arms of the two masked men in black trembled at the same time. With this tremble, the direction was deviated by a few inches. Puff! The two Qingfeng swords shone with cold light. One of them sank into Qin Feiyang's right shoulder. The other sank into Ling Yunfei's left shoulder. At this moment, blood splattered. Damn it! We actually missed. The two masked men in black roared in exasperation, quickly pulled out their Qingfeng swords, and swung it at the throat of Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. You want to kill me when you are prepared, dream on. Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with cold light. He grabbed Ling Yunfei, stepped on Luo Yan's steps, and retreated like lightning. Don't let them escape. One of them roared. The two of them revealed murderous intent and rushed forward again. Their speed was far beyond Qin Feiyang's. Wu Zong. Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. With the increase of Luo Yan's steps, his speed was comparable to a 9-star martial master. The two of them were faster than him, so they could only be Wu Zong. He glanced at Gu Ba. Although Gu Ba was already rushing over, it would take at least 5 breaths to arrive. 5 breaths. Usually, it would be over soon. But in a fight, not to mention 5 breaths, even 1 breath was enough to kill. No. He couldn't just think about running for his life. At this time, counterattack was the best way to save his life. Because the other party would definitely not think that he would counterattack. Even more so, he would not think that he had a dagger that could cut iron like mud. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang turned his head and gave Ling Yunfei a look. Kill. The next moment, the two of them roared at the same time. Instead of retreating, they went forward and faced the two masked men in black. Murderous intent filled their eyes. The two masked men in black suddenly revealed a look of surprise. They actually took the initiative to rush forward? Were they courting death? Retreat quickly. Gu Ba was burning with anxiety and he roared furiously. If Jiang Haotian died in front of him, the temple master and the two hot-tempered elders would skin him alive. However, Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear. Seeing that the two masked men were distracted, he decisively took out the Chang Shui and seized the opportunity to swing the two green blades with force. Clang! In an instant, sparks flew everywhere. The two green blades were instantly broken by the Chang Shui. What? The two masked men were dumbfounded on the spot. What was that? It was actually so sharp. At this moment, Ling Yunfei launched a fierce attack. Heartlock killing punch. With a roar, he threw a punch at the heart of the masked man on the left. True Qi gushed out and shone brightly. Bam! The fist landed. The masked man spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot and his entire body flew out from the impact. Little bastard, you are courting death. The other masked man was furious. He stepped on the ground and mud splashed all over the sky. Boom! He threw a palm at Ling Yunfei. The wind howled and the rain here evaporated instantly, turning into a vacuum zone. It was really amazing. However, in the face of such a terrifying palm, Ling Yunfei only grinned. Seeing this, the masked man felt a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. He glanced at Qin Feiyang from the corner of his eye. His expression suddenly changed. Where was he? Wasn't he just next to me? How did he disappear in the blink of an eye? Behind you. He suddenly shivered and gave up attacking Ling Yunfei. He quickly turned around. But just as he turned around, a white dagger as white as jade pierced through the sky like lightning and with a puff, it sank into the top of his head. It turned out that, when the masked man attacked Ling Yunfei, Qin Feiyang also followed behind the masked man. And for this person, Qin Feiyang naturally would not be merciful. He directly pierced the masked man's head with his dagger. How is this possible? The masked man's pupils dilated quickly and his face was full of disbelief. Remember, never underestimate anyone. Sometimes, even an ant can defeat an elephant. Qin Feiyang sneered and pulled out the Chang Shui with force. Bang! The masked man fell on the spot and mud splashed everywhere. Blood kept gushing out from the wound on his head. In an instant, the rainwater here was dyed red. In the blink of an eye. The masked man who was sent flying by Ling Yunfei had just stabilized himself when he saw his companion fall to the ground and die. His heart was full of disbelief. A martial arts grandmaster was killed by a martial arts master? Ridiculous, this was really ridiculous. I'd like to see how capable you two little bastards are. He roared hysterically and rushed toward Qin Feiyang like a madman. His whole body was full of murderous intent. His hands were filled with genuine qi. Obviously, he was going to use martial arts. However, Qin Feiyang and the other man were indifferent. Their mouths were full of mockery. You dare to touch my pill hall's disciple. You really have the guts. Mountain-shattering fist. At this moment, a thunderous roar erupted. Guba finally arrived and threw out a punch. Feeling the terrifying fist energy, the masked man was shocked. He quickly turned around and threw out a palm. At the same time, he roared, Imperial Wind Palm. The fist and the palm collided together. Bang! Crack! The masked man was sent flying and his arm was broken. Guba was like a big mountain, standing firmly in the rain and not moving at all. He strode to the side of the masked man and said with murderous intent in his eyes, You're from the mayor's mansion. Seems like I have to spare your life. Qin Feiyang said in surprise, Elder Gu, how do you know he's from the mayor's mansion? Guba said, because only the people from the mayor's mansion can cultivate martial arts like the Imperial Wind Palm. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists and said in a deep voice, Seems like he won't stop until he kills me. Guba sneered, Don't worry. As long as we bring him back, he won't be able to explain himself. By then, not to mention the mayor's mansion, he might not even be able to keep his life. Just wait and see. But before he finished speaking, the masked man suddenly hit his own chest with his palm. Puff! Instantly, blood spurted out. He looked at Qin Feiyang and the others with a ferocious expression and laughed, Killing Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei was our idea. It has nothing to do with the mayor. You want to slander the mayor? Dream on. After saying that, he fell to the ground. Chapter 100. Qin Feiyang kept the Chang Shui and hurried over, asking, Elder Gu, how is it? Gu Ba said, dead. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened. Once this person was dead, there would be no evidence. It would be impossible to bring down the city lord again. Because the city lord could pretend that he did not know anything or push the blame to others. Without solid evidence, no one would dare to touch him. After all, he was the city lord and represented the supreme authority. Gu Ba pulled off the black veils on their faces. They were indeed from the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyang even recognized one of them. It was the guard captain who wanted to kill him. Ling Yunfei snorted, they are martial arts grandmasters. How stupid of them to work for such a despicable person. They were all trained by the city lord and have long become the city lord's men of sacrifice. To them, death is not scary. What is scary is that they did not complete the mission given to them by the city lord. Oh right, are your injuries okay? Gu Ba looked at the two of them with concern. We are fine. Qin Feiyang smiled. Gu Ba praised, you even have the ability to kill a one-star martial arts grandmaster. I have to say that you are really amazing. You have far surpassed your peers. But don't be complacent. Continue to work hard. But Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei felt guilty about Gu Ba's praise. Because, if not for the two of them being distracted, they would not have the chance to fight back. Taking a step back, if Qin Feiyang did not Chang Shui, even if they had the chance, they would not have the ability to fight back. So in this, there was more or less some luck and luck. Of course. Their ability was obvious to all. No one could deny it. But this time, they survived. They should thank the Black Bear King the most. Because in the beginning, the two green swords were aimed at their hearts. If not for the Black Bear King's roar, their hearts would have been pierced. They would definitely have died on the spot. Senior Bear King, thank you. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at the Black Bear Mountain with gratitude. He would definitely remember this kindness forever. Gu Ba also looked at the Black Bear Mountain. He naturally heard the roar just now. And at that time, when he felt the pressure, even he was shocked. But he did not think much about it. He did not think about the Black Bear King. Because in his opinion, Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei could not have known the Black Bear King. The high and mighty Black Bear King would not have helped two humans. It was probably a powerful beast that martial arts grandmaster level and happened to pass by this area. Gu Ba retracted his gaze and smiled. Let's go back. The test should be starting soon. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. When the three came to the city, the guards. Were the guards evidently? He was deeply shocked by the strength displayed by Qin Feiyang and Li Qie. At first, they all thought that their captain would be able to kill the two of them easily. But they did not. In the end, it was the captain who was killed by the two of them. 5-star martial masters already had such terrifying strength. When they become stronger in the future, wouldn't they be even more powerful? Go back and tell your mayor that the 3 leaders of the Pill Hall will visit him personally tomorrow. Ask him to prepare a reasonable explanation. Gu Ba glanced at them coldly. Then, he led Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei into the city. Ling Yunfei asked in surprise, Elder Gu, are we really going to the mayor's mansion tomorrow? Gu Ba sneered, although there is no evidence, we have to deter him. Otherwise, he will not know how to restrain himself. Makes sense. Ling Yunfei nodded. Gu Ba said, but as long as you enter the Martial King Hall and the Danwang Hall, he will not be able to do anything to you. Soon. The 3 came to the Pill Hall. Gu Ba said to Qin Feiyang, you go in by yourself. I will send Ling Yunfei out to prevent any more trouble. Also, inform He Wu and the others. Qin Feiyang asked, where is Elder He? He is at the West City Gate. Because we don't know which direction you will come from, the Hall Master asked me, He Wu and the 2 deacon elders of the Martial King Hall to guard 1 city gate each. Gu Ba said. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang was enlightened. Pill Fire Hall. Everyone in the Pill Palace was currently gathered in the main hall. Right in front. The 4 of them sat on the chairs. There was a tea table beside each of them. There was a pot of tea and a teacup. They were Luo Xiong, Feng Cheng, Elder Mo, and Lin Chen. However, the 4 of them had different expressions. Luo Xiong closed his eyes and remained silent. Feng Cheng and Elder Mo looked outside the hall. They were expectant and angry. Lin Chen lowered his head and kept pouring tea. There was a trace of impatience between his brows. The atmosphere here was extremely heavy. The surrounding disciples did not dare to make any noise. On the left, Cheng Yi, Ling Yan, Ji Jin, and Lu Hong stood together and whispered. Cheng Yi asked, Ling Yan, did you find out? I found out. Ling Yan nodded and said in a low voice, there are people from the City Lord Mansion lying in ambush outside the 4 city gates. As long as Jiang Haotian appears, even if Gu Ba and the others are there, they will still die. Lu Hong smiled and said, if that's the case, this predetermined spot will definitely be yours, senior brother Cheng Yi. Ji Jin said flatteringly, "Senior brother, please take care of me in the future." Cheng Yi was overjoyed and said, "Don't worry. As long as I get the predetermined spot, I will definitely not forget about you guys." "What are you guys talking about? Let Fat Lord hear about it too." At this moment, Fatso sneaked behind the four of them and laughed. "Yo, damn Fatso. You actually dare to take the initiative to approach me. Aren't you afraid that I will skin you?" The four of them immediately looked unfriendly. "Heh, Fat Lord just happens to want to lose weight. Come, skin as much as you want." Fatso looked at the four of them provocatively. He looked like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. This made the four of them very angry. However, with the three big shots present, they did not dare to flare up. Lu Hong said coldly, "Damn fat pig, after the assessment, I will slowly deal with you. At that time, if you have the guts, don't run away. You're so protective of Cheng Yi. Do you already have an affair with him? If Fat Lord remembers correctly, you and Ji Jin also seem to have some shady dealings, right? You're two-timing. You're really awesome, woman. Senior brother Cheng Yi, senior brother Ji Jin, the two of you are really handsome. But if there were more green hats, it would be even more perfect. Just nice, Fat Lord has two here. It doesn't cost 998, nor does it cost 98. It only costs 8 gold coins. How about it, Fat Lord is loyal enough." Fatso laughed and took out 2 green hats, waving them in front of Cheng Yi and Ji Jin. "I'll endure it." The three of them glared at Fatso, gnashing their teeth. Their lungs were about to explode from anger. "You think it's expensive? All right, Fat Lord will suffer a loss this time. I'll give it to you for free. Come, come, come. Fat Lord will put it on for you. It will definitely look very good." After Fatso finished speaking, he really put the green hats on their heads. Ji Jin grabbed Fatso's wrist and growled, "Damn Fatso, if you continue to mess around, I'll kill you. Without Jiang Haotian's help, I'll see how you can survive in the Pill Palace." Cheng Yi smiled coldly and ignored Fatso. "Kill Fat Lord?" A cold light flashed past Fatso's eyes. He threw away the 2 green hats and took out 2 daggers. "What are you trying to do?" The four of them were shocked. Nothing. Fatso hurriedly shook his head. He looked at the four of them with a flattering smile and said, "I was just joking just now. I hope senior brothers and sisters don't mind. If any of you can help me hold it, I promise to give you a huge surprise." The four of them looked at each other and ignored him. Fatso took the initiative and stuffed the daggers into Ji Jin and Ling Yan's hands. "What are you trying to do?" They frowned. Fatso laughed evilly. He grabbed Ji Jin's wrist with his right hand and Ling Yan's wrist with his left hand. He actually used his strength to stab his own chest. Ji Jin and Ling Yan's expression changed. The tip of the 2 daggers instantly cut through Fatso's clothes and was about to pierce his skin. "Bastard, what are you trying to do?" Ji Jin and Ling Yan hurriedly pulled back. They shouted at the same time. "Murder! Palace Master, Elder, save me!" Fatso also roared in fear at this moment. His entire face turned ghastly white in an instant. Ji Jin and Ling Yan were stunned. At this moment, everyone's gaze gathered on the 3 of them. They all felt that it was unbelievable. They actually dared to kill Fatso in front of the 3 great leaders? Were Ji Jin and Ling Yan's brains damaged? Bang! Suddenly, a loud noise sounded in the hall. Everyone looked over and immediately kept quiet out of fear. Feng Cheng's face was gloomy. His old big hand suddenly slammed on the tea table. Crack! The tea table was torn apart on the spot. The teacups and teapot fell to the ground and broke into pieces. The 3 great leaders were already extremely irritated. Seeing this, they were instantly furious. Fatso, Ling Yan, and Ji Jin were also shocked. The 2 daggers fell to the ground and hit the ground with dazzling sparks. Elder, Ji Jin hurriedly took a step forward and was about to accuse Fatso. Elder, Hall Master, you must uphold justice for this disciple. However, Fatty was the first to shout. Just now, I heard them talking about Jiang Haotian. I said that Jiang Haotian might still be alive. But I didn't expect that they actually immediately pointed their daggers at me. If I hadn't reacted in time, I would have died in their hands now. He ran to the 3 great leaders and knelt on the ground. He cried with snot and tears. Nonsense. You were the one who gave us the daggers. Elder, Palace Master, he's accusing us first and framing us. Ji Jin and Ling Yan hurriedly defended themselves. They were so angry that smoke was coming out of their heads. Fatso glared at the 2 of them and shouted angrily, "You're good. You're actually trying to frame me. Who in the pill hall doesn't know that I'm the most cowardly? I don't even dare to kill a pig. How would I dare to kill myself with a dagger? Enough, all of you shut up." Luo Xiong shouted coldly. He glanced at the 3 of them and said coldly, "It's unforgivable to hurt a fellow disciple. Ji Jin and Ling Yan are disqualified from the examination. Get out of the pill fire hall immediately and go to the pig cage to reflect on your mistakes." "No. Palace Master, we're innocent." Their faces instantly turned green. They hurriedly knelt on the ground and shouted. Chapter 101. The 2 deacon elders hurriedly ran in. Without saying a word, they directly dragged the 2 of them and ran towards the pig cages. "Thank you, Palace Lord, thank you, elders." Fatso kowtowed 3 times and 9 times, grateful to the point of tears. But in his heart, he was laughing sinisterly. Little guy, fighting with Fat Lord was simply courting death. Subsequently, he got up and returned to Qing Yi and Lu Hong's side, whispering, "Are you satisfied with this extra big surprise? You're ruthless, but let's see how long you can be arrogant." Qing Yi's eyes flashed coldly. "Then we'll see." Fatso chuckled, rolled his eyes, and said, "Lu Hong, why didn't Fat Lord deal with you?" Lu Hong furrowed her brows. Fatso laughed, "Because you're too dirty. Fat Lord is afraid of touching your hand and dirtying Fat Lord's pure heart." The anger in Lu Hong's heart suddenly soared crazily. "Don't be impulsive, he wants to get rid of us one by one. This way, he will have a chance to enter the Danwang Hall. Endure at first, wait for the assessment to end, then slowly deal with him." Qing Yi hurriedly grabbed Lu Hong's wrist and whispered. At this time, Lin Chen put down the teacup, turned to look at Luo Xiong, and smiled, "Palace Lord Luo, it's getting late, shouldn't we draw up the list?" This, Luo Xiong hesitated. Qing Yi took a step forward and said respectfully, "Palace Lord, this disciple knows that you're waiting for Jiang Haotian, but he hasn't returned yet. There's a high chance that he's already dead. You can't let Lord Lin Chen accompany us to waste time just because of a dead person, right?" Lin Chen nodded, praising Qing Yi. "Hee, do you really want me to die that much? But I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, I'm still alive and well." At this time, a faint laughter was heard, with a strong sense of ridicule. Jiang Haotian. Fatso's fat body suddenly trembled. At the same time, Feng Cheng, Elder Mo, and Luo Xiong were also overjoyed. They all stood up and looked outside the hall. A youth dressed in sackcloth walked through the storm towards Pill Fire Hall. There was a sword wound on his shoulder that was still bleeding. His face was also as pale as a sheet of paper, but his eyes were like torches, extremely spirited. How is this possible? If he can come back alive like this, could it be that he can fly? Qing Yi and Lu Hong were in disbelief. Lin Chen curiously sized up Qin Feiyang. From the looks of it, there was nothing outstanding about this person. Why was he so valued by Luo Xiong and the other 2? Fatso pushed through the crowd and ran out of the main hall to welcome Qin Feiyang. He laughed and said, Jiang Laoda, Fat Lord knew that your luck is bigger than Daifuku's. You won't die. Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he said, looking at your flushed appearance, did you do some despicable business again? Fatso said unhappily, what are you talking about? Fat Lord is a good youth that everyone loves. Let me tell you, don't ruin Fat Lord's reputation. You still have a reputation? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. In terms of shamelessness, even White-Eyed Wolf was less than 1/10,000th of this guy. Fatso laughed and said, to be honest, Fat Lord did something big just now. Immediately. He whispered to Qin Feiyang about how he framed Ji Jin and Ling Yan. After listening, Qin Feiyang had a strange look in his eyes. Ji Jin and Ling Yan had just come out of the pig cage, but they were thrown back in again. They probably hated Fatso to the core. Not bad, well done. Keep it up. Qin Feiyang patted Fatso's shoulder. Although it wasn't glorious, it was indeed satisfying. After entering the main hall, the crowd automatically separated. Qin Feiyang walked in front of the three great leaders and cupped his hands, greetings to Hall Master and the two elders. Feng Cheng was about to get angry, but when he saw the sword wound on Qin Feiyang's shoulder, he immediately revealed a worried look and asked, what happened to your sword wound? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, when I just came back, 2 cats and dogs suddenly jumped out, and I was accidentally injured. But it doesn't matter, it won't affect the alchemy. Cats and dogs? The surrounding disciples were puzzled. But the three great leaders were very clear. However, now was not the time to pursue the matter. Luo Xiong turned to look at Lin Chen and smiled, I won't write the list, just say it directly, the internal quota belongs to Jiang Haotian, and the other 2 quotas will be decided by the survival of the fittest, however. Before Luo Xiong finished speaking, Cheng Yi took a step forward and said in a deep voice, Hall Master, I refuse to accept this. Step down. Luo Xiong shouted. Lin Chen smiled, Hall Master Luo, why don't we first listen to the reason why he refuses to accept this? Luo Xiong raised his eyebrows and nodded, all right, Cheng Yi, if you have something to say, just say it, don't waste time. Hearing this, Cheng Yi's heart was suddenly filled with a thick flame of anger. Jiang Haotian only came now, wasn't it good that he wasted time? But he didn't even blame him. He only said one sentence, and he actually said that he was wasting time. Isn't this favoritism a bit too much? Phew. He took a deep breath and cupped his hands. As everyone knows, Jiang Haotian is only a backdoor entrant, but what about us? We relied on our own efforts to get to where we are today, so I hope that Hall Master can be fair and just. Backdoor entrant? Lin Chen frowned and asked, Cheng Yi, who is he related to? Cheng Yi said, he has an engagement with Elder Feng's granddaughter. Lin Chen's pupils suddenly shrank. Deep in his eyes, there was even a trace of cold light. But he immediately covered it up and turned to look at Luo Xiong. He smiled, Hall Master Luo, you know the rules of the pill hall better than I do. You can't play favoritism. Feng Qing suddenly stood up and said, what a joke. How come I didn't know that Jiang Haotian has an engagement with my granddaughter? Cheng Yi said respectfully, Elder Feng, Jiang Haotian said it himself. Lin Chen smiled, since it's like this, then we'll choose someone else for this predetermined spot. Hall Master Luo, I heard from you yesterday that Cheng Yi seems to have a 6th level mental strength. Why don't we choose him? Thank you, Lord Lin Chen. Cheng Yi was wild with joy. He hurriedly bowed and thanked him. I haven't agreed, why are you thanking me? Luo Xiong said. The displeasure on his face became more obvious. Cheng Yi, I'll give you a chance. Back off, don't ask for trouble. Why should I back off? Hall Master, I respect you very much, but I didn't expect you to be so selfish. I don't dare to say in the path of martial arts, but in the path of alchemy, I have absolute confidence that I can crush Jiang Haotian. In the end, Cheng Yi had completely lost his sense of propriety and directly challenged Luo Xiong. Lin Chen smiled faintly. A 6th-level mental strength is considered one of the best in the Danwang Hall. I think it's settled. The predetermined spot will be given to him. Is a 6th-level mental strength that great? Qin Feiyang, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. There was a strong sense of contempt in his words. What did you say? Cheng Yi suddenly turned around and stared coldly at Qin Feiyang. His gaze was aggressive. Lin Chen also raised his eyebrows without leaving a trace. Qin Feiyang was disdainful. He turned to look at Luo Xiong and the other two with a questioning expression. Feng Qing glanced at Lin Chen and Cheng Yi, then said to Qin Feiyang, "We've been waiting for this moment. Go ahead and do it." Hearing this, Qin Feiyang smiled and turned around to look at Cheng Yi. He said indifferently, "Crush me? Do you have the qualifications to do so?" Cheng Yi clenched his fists and said word by word, "Then let's give it a try." Qin Feiyang said, "How do we do it?" "Say it." "Alchemy, of course. The spot will go to whoever can refine the highest quality pill." "Do you dare?" Cheng Yi looked at him provocatively. Qin Feiyang laughed and said, "Why don't we add another condition? The loser will be at his mercy, even if he's killed on the spot." "What?" The disciples were shocked. If that was the case, it wouldn't be a simple competition for a spot, but a bet of life and death. Luo Xiong and the other two couldn't help but frown. Although they were a little dissatisfied with Cheng Yi's current performance, they were still optimistic about Cheng Yi's future. As for Qin Feiyang's alchemy skills, they knew better than anyone else. If the bet of life and death was successful, Cheng Yi would definitely die. This kind of thing couldn't happen. The three of them were about to stand up and stop him. But Cheng Yi was a step ahead of them. "Okay, it's decided." "No!" Elder Mo shouted. Cheng Yi turned to look at Elder Mo and bowed. "Elder, this is a joint decision between Zhang Haotian and I. Please don't interfere." Lin Chen smiled. "It's quite interesting. Elder Mo, just let them be. Furthermore, I don't believe that they'll really kill each other. At most, they'll humiliate each other with a few words. It's not important." This, Elder Mo looked at Luo Xiong and Feng Cheng. Luo Xiong waved his hand impatiently. Forget it, forget it. Let them be. Humph, they really won't cry until they're in the coffin." Feng Cheng snorted coldly. He was naturally talking about Cheng Yi. However, Cheng Yi was oblivious to it and looked at Qin Feiyang with his head held high. "Are you going first or should I?" "Whatever." Qin Feiyang shrugged. "I'll go first then. Open your eyes and watch what's called alchemy." Cheng Yi smiled in disdain and strode towards the corridor. At this moment, Lin Chen said again, "In order to save time, you guys might as well refine the simplest healing pill at the same time. Cheng Yi, you use the first alchemy room. Jiang Haotian, you use the second alchemy room." "Thank you, Lord Lin Chen." Cheng Yi was overjoyed and hurriedly bowed to thank him. However, Qin Feiyang frowned. What did this Lin Chen mean? He actually assigned the first alchemy room to Cheng Yi? Although the first and second alchemy rooms only had a difference of one number, whether it was the alchemy fire or the alchemy furnace, they were not on the same level. As everyone knew, the quality of the alchemy fire and the alchemy furnace would affect the quality of the pills. Wasn't this person obviously helping Cheng Yi? Lin Chen seemed to have sensed Qin Feiyang's displeasure and smiled. "Jiang Haotian, in order to prove that you're not a backdoor entrant, I gave you the second alchemy room. I've put in a lot of effort, don't let me down." Qin Feiyang was a little stunned. He could tell that this person was purely a hypocrite who hid a knife behind a smile. "Don't worry, I definitely won't let you down." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he walked towards the second alchemy room. However, the corner of his mouth pursed into a deep mocking smile. He wanted to scheme against him with such a small trick. What a joke. Later, he would know how childish this behavior was. However, he could not figure it out. It was only the first time he met this person. There was no enmity between them. Why would he deliberately target him? Chapter 102. After Qin Feiyang entered the alchemy room, Qing Yi followed him into the alchemy room. The stone door wasn't closed. Lin Chen stood in the middle of the two alchemy rooms. He looked at Qin Feiyang and laughed secretly. I want to see what level of pills you can make. Luo Xiong and the other two sat on the chairs and closed their eyes to recover. The outcome was already decided. There was no need to watch. Everyone, why don't we have a bet? Jiang Haotian, 1 to 10. Qing Yi, 1 to 2. Fatso suddenly shouted with a wretched smile on his face. I'm not in the mood. Get lost. The surrounding disciples looked at each other angrily. It wasn't that Fatso wasn't welcomed. It was because they all wanted to enter the Danwang Hall. However, they obviously didn't have a chance to enter. There were more than 100 disciples fighting for the remaining 2 spots. The probability was too low. They didn't have the confidence to win. Therefore, they couldn't help but feel irritated. In the 2 alchemy rooms, the alchemy had already started. The 2's movements were very skillful. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that they were as smooth as flowing water. This is unbelievable. Genius Jiang Haotian has only been in the Danwang Hall for 2 months. His speed can actually keep up with Senior Qing Yi? A few disciples discussed softly. Lin Chen was stunned. He said in surprise, "What did you say? He's only been here for 2 months?" Yeah. The few disciples nodded. Another disciple suddenly said, "No, he's been outside this month. Therefore, he's only been refining pills for a month. He's so skillful in just a month?" Lin Chen was dumbfounded. Could it be that this person was really an alchemy genius? No. Although his speed could keep up, the quality of the pills he made would definitely be inferior. He had a friendly smile on his face, but his heart was filled with coldness. However, they didn't know. Qin Feiyang had only been refining pills for a few days. The rest of the time, he was copying the return formula. 100 breaths passed. Qing Yi waved his hand. A red pill flew out from the cauldron. He grabbed the pill and, without even looking at it, turned around and walked out of the pill concoction room. He walked up to Lin Chen and presented the pill with both hands, his face filled with confidence. Lin Chen held it in his hand and looked at it. He nodded and said, "Not bad. This healing pill can definitely be considered a high-grade pill." After getting Lin Chen's approval, the confidence on Qing Yi's face grew even stronger as he said with a smile, "My lord, I'm afraid it's still too early for Jiang Haotian. You have a priceless body, so you'd better go sit outside and wait. I admit that I lost." But at this moment, a helpless voice sounded. "Huh," Qing Yi immediately laughed out loud. He turned around and saw Qin Feiyang walking out of the alchemy room. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Even if you admit defeat, you have to take out the medicinal pills you refined and let everyone see how pathetic they are." Ugh. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Could this person be stupid? He smiled faintly and said, "I think you misunderstood my meaning. Actually, I'm saying that your flattery skills are really top-notch. I admit defeat." Hearing this, Qing Yi's expression froze and his face immediately darkened. "This is the medicinal pill I refined." Qin Feiyang casually threw a healing pill towards Lin Chen. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows without a trace. Obviously, he, who was used to being flattered, was very unhappy with Qin Feiyang's current attitude. But the smile on his face was still the same. He grabbed the medicinal pill and hurriedly glanced at it. He smiled and said, "This healing pill can at most be considered a low-grade medicinal pill. It's too different from the high-grade healing pill refined by Cheng Yi. Therefore, I now announce that the quota will be given to Cheng Yi. Phew. Cheng Yi let out a long breath and said, "This disciple swears to be loyal to the Danwang Hall for the rest of my life. I swear to defend the dignity of the Danwang Hall with my life." Lin Chen nodded. Cheng Yi turned to look at Qin Feiyang and sneered, "Do you still remember the bet from before?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Cheng Yi's eyes flashed coldly and said, "Then let's fulfill our promise now. Since we're from the same sect, I'll let bygones be bygones if you break your own arms." "Break my own arms?" Qin Feiyang narrowed his eyes. This person wanted to kill him whenever he had the chance. Since that was the case, then let's see whose methods were more ruthless. He looked up at Lin Chen and smiled faintly. "Look carefully again." Lin Chen smiled. A low-grade medicinal pill is a low-grade medicinal pill. The result will be the same no matter how many times I look at it. Is there a need to? Qin Feiyang really wanted to get along with this person politely. After all, if the Danwang Hall sent this person to be in charge of the assessment, then his status in the Danwang Hall must be high. However, this person did not take him seriously at all. Arrogant and self-righteous. Did he really think he was a big shot? Qin Feiyang's killing intent surged. He quickly drew out the Chang Shui and swung it at Cheng Yi's neck like lightning. Ah! A painful scream rang out in the pill fire hall. Bam! The next moment, Cheng Yi fell to the ground, clutching his neck. Blood spurted out from his throat. The surrounding disciples were stunned. Lu Hong's face turned pale. Even Fatso was tongue-tied. Isn't this bastard a little too daring? He actually killed Cheng Yi in the pill fire hall? Get out of the way. Elder Mo's roar was heard. Everyone shuddered and hurriedly retreated to the side. The three heavyweights ran over and looked at the dead Cheng Yi on the ground with gloomy expressions. The usual smile on Lin Chen's face disappeared without a trace. All that was left was anger. Jiang Haotian. He suddenly looked up at Qin Feiyang, his entire body cold and threatening. The temperature here plummeted as if winter had arrived. Everyone's pupils constricted and they involuntarily retreated. However, Qin Feiyang wasn't afraid in the slightest. He inclined his head and locked gazes with Lin Chen as he laughed mockingly. "If the Pill Emperor Hall is filled with people as mediocre as you, I don't mind not joining the Pill Emperor Hall." With that, he turned and walked out of the hall without looking back. "How dare you!" Lin Chen was furious. He reached out his hand and grabbed at Qin Feiyang. "You're the one who's being impudent." However, at this moment, Luo Xiong roared and threw a slap. Slap! With a crisp slap, Lin Chen flew out and smashed into the wall behind him, spitting out blood. There was a bright red palm print on his face. It even began to swell. The elixir fell out of his hand and onto the ground. "How dare you hit me?" Lin Chen was dumbfounded by the slap. "Because you're from the Danwang Hall, I've been courteous these 2 days. But what about you? Acting all high and mighty all the time, who do you think you are? Hitting you is still light. I'll kill you now." Luo Xiong took a step forward, murderous. "Hall Master, don't be rash. Let's talk things over." Seeing this, Feng Cheng and Elder Mo's expression changed. They quickly ran up and grabbed Luo Xiong's arm, anxiously persuading him. "Let go of me right now," Luo Xiong shouted. Although he usually looked very amiable, once he was angry, even Feng Cheng and Elder Mo did not dare to act rashly. The two hurriedly let go. Luo Xiong strode in front of Lin Chen, lowered his head, and coldly looked at Lin Chen. When his eyes met Luo Xiong's, Lin Chen could not help but feel cold all over. "Do you think I'm blind? Can't tell that you've been deliberately targeting Jiang Haotian? Just because I didn't say anything, it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want." Now, open your eyes wide and look clearly for this highness. Just what grade of medicinal pill is the medicinal pill that he refined? Luo Xiong shouted. Lin Chen's body trembled. He hurriedly opened his hand, only to find that the elixir was gone. It's beside your feet. Luo Xiong shouted. Lin Chen trembled. He quickly grabbed the elixir and looked at it carefully. What? This is, when he saw the elixir patterns on the elixir, it was as if he was struck by lightning. His body and mind trembled. It was actually a supreme grade elixir with elixir patterns. Do you see it clearly now? If you see it clearly, then shout it out. Hurry. Luo Xiong shouted coldly. This healing elixir is, Lin Chen's face was filled with disbelief. He could not accept this terrifying fact. Do you need me to say it again? Luo Xiong's tone was low and cold. Lin Chen quivered and shouted, this is a supreme grade elixir. As soon as he said that, the crowd was in an uproar. Jiang Haotian can actually refine a supreme grade elixir? How long has he been in the pill hall? If that's the case, the supreme grade elixir that Fatso sold previously was refined by Jiang Haotian? Too awesome. He's simply a genius in the alchemy world. No, only monstrous is enough to describe him. No wonder the hall master and the two elders like him so much. Looking at it now, Cheng Yi really overestimated himself. The shock in everyone's heart could no longer be described with words. Especially Lu Hong. She kept muttering the word supreme grade elixir. All of a sudden, she felt that she, Cheng Yi, Ling Yan, and Ji Jin were like clowns. They thought that they were so great. They always mocked others and said that they got in because of connections. In reality, they didn't even put them in their eyes. How comical. Luo Xiong glanced at everyone and sneered, the ones who got in because of connections can actually refine supreme grade elixirs. Is it funny? Anyway, I think it's funny, but you're the one who's funny. Luo Xiong looked at Lin Chen again and sneered, you didn't even see it clearly and you jumped to a conclusion. I don't understand why the Danwang Hall would send trash like you to be in charge of the assessment. Trash? Lin Chen's heart was filled with anger. He roared, even if he can refine supreme grade elixirs, the fact that he killed Cheng Yi cannot be erased. You still dare to roar at me? If you didn't target him, would he have killed Cheng Yi out of anger? We're not deaf. Just now, he asked you to take a closer look. But because of your arrogance, not only did you not look, you even spoke rudely and maliciously hurt him. Now tell me, whose fault is this? Luo Xiong said sternly. Lin Chen immediately lost his temper. A person who can concoct a supreme grade elixir, especially one who just started learning how to concoct a supreme grade elixir, is extremely important to the pill hall. I don't need to tell you. You should be very clear about it. I still remember that in order to persuade him to join the pill hall, Old Feng and Old Mo put in a lot of effort. But now, because of you, he doesn't want to go to the Danwang Hall. What do you think we should do? Let me tell you, if you can't make him change his mind, I can only report this matter to the Grand Hall Master. At that time, I'd like to see what will happen to you. Luo Xiong sneered and didn't stay any longer. But when he turned around, he said, don't smile in the future. Otherwise, people will hate you. Old Feng, Old Mo, you two stay and supervise the assessment. Understood. Feng Cheng and Old Mo nodded. Chapter 103. After Luo Xiong left, Lin Chen collapsed on the ground powerlessly, his face full of horror. If this matter really reached the ears of the chief pavilion master of the county of Yan, he would be skinned even if he didn't die. Suddenly, he looked at Feng Cheng and Elder Mo with a pleading expression and said, Elder Feng, Elder Mo, you must help me. This is not easy to help. Whoever tied the bell should untie it. Go find Jiang Haotian yourself. The two of them did not look happy. Fatso went up and chuckled. Master Lin Chen, who won now? The surrounding disciples rolled their eyes. Was there a need to ask? Of course it was Jiang Haotian. If even a person who could refine a supreme-grade pill lost, then there must be an inside story. Fatso continued, Master Lin Chen, you agreed to the bet between Zhang Laoda and Cheng Yi, right? What are you trying to say? Lin Chen glared at him. What Fat Lord wants to say is that Zhang Laoda and Cheng Yi have an agreement. If Zhang Laoda wins and kills Cheng Yi, you can't do anything about it. But you're using this as a pretext. Don't you think you're hypocritical? Do you know what the hall master meant by that sentence? He's saying that when you laugh, you're asking for a beating. No, you're born to be asking for a beating. It has nothing to do with whether you laugh or not. When you're free, go for plastic surgery, lest you get beaten up by a crowd in the future. Fatso chuckled, his face full of disdain. Lin Chen's eyes were cold. But suddenly, he looked at Fatso from head to toe and his heart skipped a beat. He got up and dragged Fatso out of the hall, saying at the same time, come with me. What do you want to do? Bully the weak? Bully the weak? Let me tell you, in broad daylight, in front of everyone, Fat Lord is not afraid of you. Fatso shouted anxiously. It's a good thing. Lin Chen whispered. A good thing? Fatso was slightly stunned, and his heart suddenly bloomed with joy. Qin Feiyang sat alone in a pavilion. He couldn't figure it out. How did he offend this Lin Chen, to the point of making things difficult for him? So you're here, Zhang Laoda. Soon. Fatty ran over and said with a sinister smile, you've finally killed Cheng Yi. You must be feeling great right now. Indeed. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, did the hall master say that he would hold me accountable? No. You're the Pill Palace's most popular person now. How could the palace master hold you accountable for a dead person? But Lin Chen was the of the Pill Palace of the Hall of the Hall? Of the Hall of the Palace of the Hall. You didn't see how furious the palace master was earlier. If it weren't for the two elders holding him back, Lin Chen would have already gone to see the King of Hell. Fatty said of S. When Luo Xiong flipped out, he hadn't left the Pill Fire Hall, so he heard it. Fatso went to Qin Feiyang and asked sneakily, Zhang Laoda, are you really not going to the Danwang Hall? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, I want to go to the Martial Emperor Hall now. With my strength, it shouldn't be a problem. What? To the Martial Emperor Hall. Fatso couldn't sit still anymore. Zhang Laoda, to tell you the truth, Lin Chen asked me to persuade you. He said that as long as I can make you change your mind, he will let me go to the Danwang Hall too. Boss, once you're the boss, you'll be the boss forever. You can't leave your little brother alone. I'm not like you. Whether it's martial arts or alchemy, I'm not as good as others. I have no hope of entering the Danwang Hall. This is such a good opportunity. Boss, you have to help me. Fatso hugged Qin Feiyang's arm, crying and acting like a spoiled child. Qin Feiyang's sleeve was covered with his snot and tears. Get out of my way. Qin Feiyang's face darkened as he hurriedly pushed Fatso away. This scene was too intimate. If he was seen by others, they would definitely misunderstand him as a homosexual. Fatso said, promise me and I'll let go. Okay, I promise. Qin Feiyang nodded helplessly. Thank you, boss. Fatso was overjoyed and said in a coquettish voice. Get out. Qin Feiyang roared and kicked Fatso away. Then, he hurriedly got up and took off his shirt with a look of disgust. He took out a new linen shirt and quickly put it on. You hit me so hard. Do you still have a conscience? Fatso rubbed his chest and walked over, staring at Qin Feiyang bitterly. Damn Fatso, you're too disgusting. I'm going to cut ties with you. Qin Feiyang had goosebumps all over his body and hurriedly ran away. Cut ties? No way. Fat Lord has made up his mind to pester you for the rest of his life. You have to take responsibility for it. Fatso chuckled and quickly chased after him. Qin Feiyang felt powerless. Despicable people were probably talking about this kind of person. Fatso ran to Qin Feiyang's side with a wretched face and said, "Boss, when are you going to see your fiancé?" Fiancé? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Fatso was stunned and asked, "Don't you know? Your fiancé also came to Black Bear City." "Wait, what do you mean? When did I have a fiancé?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Elder Feng's granddaughter." Fatso said. "Ah." Qin Feiyang was stunned and shook his head, saying, "She's not my fiancé. It's just a joke." The fatty said disdainfully, "Keep pretending. Everyone in Black Bear City knows about this. I won't talk to you anymore. Lord Fatty will go to the Pill Fire Palace first. Although Lin Chen opened the back door for me, I still have to put on a show. Let's chat again when we have time." Qin Feiyang said, "When we go back, don't say that I've already agreed. I'm still thinking about it." "I understand." Fatso chuckled and ran toward the Pill Fire Palace. "Fiancé," Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. It seemed that this joke had gone too far. After calming himself down, he changed direction and walked toward Luo Xiong's courtyard. "Bastard, this is too infuriating." Luo Xiong sat alone on a stone bench, his face full of anger. A moment later, Qin Feiyang came to the door and cupped his hands, saying, "Hall Master, I have something to ask of you." Luo Xiong was stunned and hurriedly said, "Come in." Qin Feiyang pushed the door open and walked to Luo Xiong's side. He lowered his head and said, "Hall Master, I was wrong just now. I shouldn't have killed Ching Yi. Please punish me." Luo Xiong was silent for a moment and looked up with a smile, saying, "This matter is over, but you must go to the Danwang Hall." This, Qin Feiyang hesitated. Luo Xiong asked, "Are you worried that Lin Chen will take revenge on you?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Sigh. "To be honest, I'm worried too. With your talent in alchemy, you will definitely attract attention if you enter the Danwang Hall. But it's easier to dodge a spear in the open than a stab in the dark. After all, Lin Chen is not only a core disciple of the Danwang Hall, but also a member of the Lin family of Swallow City." Luo Xiong said. "The Lin family of Swallow City." A cold light flashed in the depths of Qin Feiyang's eyes. Luo Xiong thought he was afraid and comforted him, saying, "Don't be so nervous. Before you go to the Danwang Hall, I will use the image crystal to inform the Grand Hall Master of Swallow City." Qin Feiyang said, "I will think about it." Luo Xiong frowned and nodded, saying, "All right, think about it carefully." "Oh right, why are you here?" Qin Feiyang said, "I want to ask if the pill hall has the recipe for the crimson fire-colored glass pill." "The crimson fire-colored glass pill." Luo Xiong's eyes trembled as he asked, "Did you find the crimson fire-colored glass tree?" "No." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Then why do you want the recipe?" Luo Xiong was puzzled. "I am just curious." Qin Feiyang said calmly. "The recipe," Luo Xiong thought for a while and shook his head, saying, "Everyone knows how precious the crimson fire-colored glass pill is. Therefore, only the Danwang Hall has the recipe. In that case, I will not disturb you any longer." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands, turned around, and strode out of the courtyard. He was sure that the pill hall had the recipe. He knew what Luo Xiong was thinking. Luo Xiong wanted him to go to the Danwang Hall. Therefore, it was useless to continue. He went to an empty corner and entered the castle. He began to copy the fifth stroke of the Huan character formula. In the evening, the Pill Fire Hall's test was finally over. The remaining 2 spots were taken by Lu Hong and Fatso. This result caused the disciples to be rather shocked. Lu Hong had level 5 mental power and her talent in alchemy was not bad. It was not strange for her to win a spot. However, Fatso's talent was not good and he did not work hard. How could he win? However, this was the result announced by Lin Chen himself. Feng Cheng and Luo Xiong were supervising, so no one dared to question it. Perhaps this fatty was just like Jiang Haotian, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. After the test ended, the disciples dispersed. The news of Qin Feiyang refining the supreme grade pill spread like wildfire in Black Bear City. So the supreme grade pill was refined by Jiang Haotian. No wonder Luo Xiong wanted Jiang Haotian to join the pill hall by hook or by crook. The whole city was in an uproar. All the leaders were shocked. The city lord's mansion. What? The supreme grade pill was refined by this little bastard. The city lord heard the guard's report and stood up with a face of disbelief. This news was spread by the disciples of the pill hall. It can't be fake. A guard knelt on the ground and said respectfully. The city lord clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Bang! At this time, the door was knocked open. Two middle-aged men hurriedly walked in. They were the patriarchs of the Jiang and Mu families. City lord, you also heard about it. What should we do now? The two walked in front of the city lord and asked in panic. Because they were very clear about the value of an alchemist who can refine the supreme grade pill. This kind of person can only be complimented and not offended. But now they offended him. So they must find a way to solve this problem as soon as possible. The city lord said without hesitation, this kid can't be left alive, otherwise, there will be endless trouble. Mujia's lord said, I also want to kill him because my two sons must have been killed by him. But now he's in the pill hall. We have no chance to do it. Jiang clan's lord frowned and said, Mu Fei and Mu Yang may not be killed by Jiang Haotian. Why don't we apologize to him? Maybe we can save him. Impossible. The city lord and Mujia's lord said at the same time. Jiang clan's lord asked, then tell me, how can we get rid of him? There must be a way. A cold light flashed in the city lord's eyes. He turned his head and looked at the guard next to him. He ordered, take some people to monitor the pill hall. Once Jiang Haotian leaves the pill hall, come back and report immediately. Yes. The guard nodded and quickly ran out. The city lord looked at Jiang clan's lord and Mu Yang and comforted them, don't worry. Even if there's no chance now, we can do it on their way to Yen City. Mujia's lord said, then we'll go back and wait for the news. Okay. The city lord nodded. Chapter 104. Jiang clan head was worried all the way. After returning to the Jiang clan, he sat beside the tea table in the meeting hall. The more he thought about it, the more irritated he became. Suddenly, he shouted at the door. Go and call Jiang Wei and the great elder. Yes. A servant responded respectfully and immediately turned around and ran towards the backyard. After a while, Jiang Wei and the great elder came to the meeting hall. Jiang Wei asked, Father, why did you call us in such a hurry? Did something happen? The great elder was also puzzled. Jiang clan head said. Jiang Haotian's matter, you all know about it. The two nodded. Jiang clan head said. I just went to see the city lord. The city lord and the Mujia's lord still want to continue to assassinate Jiang Haotian, but I have some hesitation, so I want to ask your opinion. Do we have any other choice now? The great elder asked. Jiang Wei said. Jiang Haotian is a vengeful man. We have tried to kill him again and again. I'm afraid he won't let it go. Sigh. Jiang clan head sighed deeply. I understand what you said, but he is now the general trend. If we want to kill him again, it's tantamount to a moth to the flame. Jiang Wei was surprised. Father, do you want to ask for peace? Yes. Jiang clan head nodded. No. The great elder flatly refused. Jiang clan head said. I know what you hate. Jiang Haotian caused you to lose your arm. He also killed Jiang Sen and the others. But have you thought about it? In fact, we have only ourselves to blame. The great elder was silent. We are different from the Mu Jia and the Ling clan. They have no backing behind them. They can only rely on the city lord. But behind the Jiang clan, there is still my second brother. Although he can't be relied on usually, but when the fate of the clan is at stake, he will certainly not sit back and do nothing. So from the beginning, we shouldn't have been in cahoots with the city lord. Jiang clan head's face was full of regret. The second brother he mentioned is Luo Qingzhu's father, the chief pavilion lord of the Yan County Treasure Pavilion. Jiang Wei asked. So what is it now? Or is it a mistake? We can't continue to make mistakes. Patriarch Jiang shook his head. His eyes flashed as he said, I've decided to ask for peace. The Grand Elder said in a low voice, even if we take the initiative to ask for peace, Jiang Haotian might not agree. No, as long as we show our sincerity, he will definitely nod his head. After all, his relationship with Qingzhu is not shallow. The most important thing is that he can refine top-quality pills now. In the future, he will definitely have great achievements. In addition to his relationship with Qingzhu, maybe when the time comes, we can use this relationship to resolve the conflict between me and second brother. Patriarch Jiang said. The Grand Elder's eyes lit up. Patriarch Jiang looked at the Grand Elder and asked, What do you think? The great clan elder muttered to himself for a moment before letting out a long sigh. As long as it can alleviate the conflict between us and second brother, lowering our heads and begging for peace is worth it. Patriarch Jiang smiled, All right, I'll go look for him now. Jiang Wei said, Father, let me go. You? Patriarch Jiang looked at him suspiciously. Jiang Wei patted his chest and said solemnly, I promise to complete the mission. The Grand Elder smiled, just let him go. After all, they are all young people. There is no generation gap. Moreover, if this kid can build a good relationship with Jiang Haotian, it will definitely be a great help to him in the future. Patriarch Jiang frowned. Finally, he nodded in agreement and said, I'll say this first. If you ruin the plan, I will beat you to death when you come back. Go quickly. So ruthless. Is he still my father? Jiang Wei mumbled unhappily. Where is my fiancé? Somewhere in the Pill Palace, a delicate voice sounded. It was like the roar of a lion from the east of the river, resounding through the night sky. The masked lady was holding an umbrella and angrily walking towards Feng Cheng's courtyard. Ling Yunfei brought his mother and followed behind the masked lady. His face was full of bitter smiles. His fiancée came to find him? Hee, there will definitely be a good show to watch later. Fatso ran over stealthily as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also heard the ladies shout. A bitter smile appeared on his face. What he was worried about finally came. He closed the iron book and listened carefully for a while. When he didn't hear any footsteps, he left the ancient castle and walked slowly along the small path. In front of the courtyard, the masked lady kicked open the courtyard's door like a fierce tigress. Feng Cheng opened the door and looked at the masked lady unhappily. This is the Pill Palace's important place. How can you barge in like this? Where is your manners? Don't try to change the topic. The masked lady quickly walked forward and grabbed Feng Cheng's beard. She walked into the attic and stood in the middle of the hall. She said angrily, Tell me, why do I have a fiancé? Ouch, ouch, ouch. Girl, let go. Let go. Feng Cheng roared. Ling Yunfei and his mother stood at the side and couldn't help but laugh. Luo Xiong and Elder Mo heard the commotion and immediately rushed over. When they saw this scene, they immediately revealed a playful smile. Greetings to the two lords. Ling Yunfei cupped his hands and said. don't be so polite in private. Luo Xiong smiled. He looked at Ling Yunfei's mother and said, if I remember correctly, you're called Lu Ji, right? Yes. Lu Ji nodded. She was a little flattered. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei grabbed his mother's hand. He looked at Luo Xiong, Feng Cheng and Elder Mo and bowed. I haven't had the chance to meet the three of you. I heard that senior sister Feng is coming to the Pill Palace. So, I brought my mother here shamelessly to thank you in person. Thank you for helping me save my mother. I, Ling Yunfei, will never forget this kindness. Ling Yunfei said solemnly. Luo Xiong revealed a gratified smile and said, the one you should thank the most is Jiang Haotian. Indeed. Ling Yunfei nodded. I say, are you done chatting? This girl is crazy. Come and help her. Feng Cheng roared angrily. The few of them looked at each other and smiled. Luo Xiong shook his head and said, this is your family matter. We can't help you. Then, he and Elder Mo crossed their arms, as if they were ready to watch a show. Ling Yunfei and his mother naturally didn't dare to interfere. You have no loyalty. Feng Cheng glared at Luo Xiong and Elder Mo. After Luo Xiong appeared, the masked woman also restrained herself a lot. She let go of her hand and bowed to Luo Xiong and Elder Mo. The two of them also smiled and nodded. The masked woman turned her head and stared at Feng Cheng. She snorted and said, you've only been in the Martial Imperial Palace for less than 2 years, and you actually have a fiancé out of nowhere. Feng Cheng laughed embarrassedly, girl, you can't blame grandfather for this. It's all Jiang Haotian's fault. If you want to find him, go find him. Even if you peel off his skin, grandfather won't blame you. Jiang Haotian. The masked woman frowned and gritted her teeth. This woman can't be provoked. Qin Feiyang hid outside the door and muttered secretly. In fact, he had arrived long ago. But when he saw that Feng Cheng's granddaughter was actually the masked woman he met yesterday, he didn't dare to go in. Because this woman was simply too valiant. Jiang Wei's fate was still vivid in his mind. He didn't want to eat dirt in front of everyone. Call Ling Yunfei out and let's go. He bent down and poked his head out, looking at the people in the hall. At this time, Fatso sneaked into the courtyard like a thief. Seeing Qin Feiyang acting sneakily at the door, his eyes brightened. He quietly walked over to Qin Feiyang's back and stuck his head out to look inside. So many people? He scratched his head and patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder. He asked, what are you doing hiding here? Don't you want to go in and see your fiancé? Qin Feiyang's body stiffened. This damn fatso, when did he come? The people in the hall all turned their heads to look at the door. When they saw Qin Feiyang and Fatso, they couldn't help but be stunned. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. He had never felt so awkward before. He stood up straight and stared at Fatso fiercely. What's going on? Fatso was a bit confused. I'll deal with you later. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. He turned around and walked into the hall. He smiled and said, That. Hello everyone. We're very good. Luo Xiong nodded. There was a trace of an evil smile on his face, as if he was saying, Kid, you're in big trouble this time. Qin Feiyang's smile froze. But it instantly recovered. He turned his head to look at the masked woman. His eyes met with that pair of cold eyes. His body tensed up. He smiled embarrassedly and said, Miss, this is a misunderstanding. Let me explain. Without waiting for him to finish, the masked woman said, There's nothing to explain. If I didn't remember wrongly, the pill hall has a pig cage, right? Go to the pig cage and stay there for a few days. After saying that, she took a step forward and instantly landed in front of Qin Feiyang. She reached out her hand and grabbed towards Qin Feiyang's shoulder. She's indeed a difficult woman. Qin Feiyang mumbled. He used the shifting smoke steps without hesitation and quickly retreated. He didn't want to go to the pig cage. Seeing Qin Feiyang dodging, the masked woman was surprised. You have some skills. But you don't have the ability to escape from me. The masked woman smiled coldly. She caught up with Qin Feiyang in one step. Her hand reached out like lightning and grabbed his wrist. Her 5 fingers were like jade. Her skin was like cream. It gave Qin Feiyang a very comfortable feeling. But at this moment, he didn't have the mood to feel it. He smiled and said, "Miss, men and women shouldn't touch each other. Aren't you my fiancé? Does it matter?" The masked woman smiled playfully. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said, "This is really a misunderstanding, Ling Heir, it's really you." However, at this time, a pleasantly surprised voice came from outside the door. Everyone looked over and saw Lin Chen running over in large strides. Qin Feiyang was surprised. When he saw Lin Chen, he actually felt that the masked woman's arm was slightly stiff. Could it be that the two know each other? Qin Feiyang mumbled. Lin Chen ran into the hall and saw that the woman was actually grabbing onto Qin Feiyang's hand. A hint of ruthlessness flashed across his eyes. This time, Qin Feiyang clearly caught it. He suddenly came to a realization. If he didn't guess wrong, Lin Chen definitely liked this tigress. Therefore, when he heard those rumors, Lin Chen regarded him as a love rival and targeted him everywhere. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang was angry and wanted to laugh at the same time. He didn't expect that a casual sentence would actually lead to an unexpected disaster. Chapter 105. However, Lin Chen's arrival gave him a glimmer of hope. Lin Chen concealed it very well. His face was instantly filled with smiles. He took a step forward and stood between Qin Feiyang and the masked woman. The masked woman had no choice but to let go of Qin Feiyang. Lin Chen asked, "Ling, what are you doing in Black Bear City?" The masked woman frowned. "Is it related to you?" Lin Chen laughed. "If you had told me in advance, we could have traveled together." "No need, I know the way," the masked woman said indifferently. It was obvious that she didn't like this person. But Lin Chen didn't mind at all, and laughed. "How about we return to Yen City together tomorrow? We'll talk about it tomorrow," the masked woman said coldly. During the conversation, Qin Feiyang gave a look to Ling Yunfei and Fatso. The two of them understood. Thus, the few of them sneaked away. But just as Qin Feiyang stepped out of the door, the masked woman noticed and shouted, "Jiang Haotian, where do you want to go? You guys chat, I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving first." Qin Feiyang said without turning his head, then used Luo Yan's steps and ran outside as if he was running for his life. "Bastard, stop right there," the masked woman shouted and was about to give chase. But at this time, Lin Chen's eyes flashed. He stood in front of her and laughed. "Ling, this is my first time in Black Bear City. I'm unfamiliar with this place. You grew up here, so you must be very familiar with this place. Why don't you take me around?" Ling Yunfei looked at Lin Chen, then turned to look at Luo Xiong and the other two, cupping his hands and saying, "3 seniors, this junior will also take his leave." Fatso followed, "This disciple will not disturb you any longer." Then, Ling Yunfei brought his mother and Fatso and quickly left the courtyard, chasing after Qin Feiyang. The masked woman frowned and wanted to go around Lin Chen, but Lin Chen stood in front of her and laughed. "Ling, let's go for a walk." This time, the masked woman was furious and shouted, "Walk your sister, can't you see that it's raining outside? If you want to go shopping, you can go by yourself." Lin Chen smiled. "Walking in the rain is more romantic." "Who wants to be romantic with you?" The masked woman cursed angrily. What the hell? Why was she so unlucky to run into this idiot? Beside him, Feng Cheng was also frowning. He appeared to be in a bad mood. Luo Xiong and Elder Mo looked at each other and remained silent. However, there was a playful look in his eyes. On the small path. Looking around, Fatso chuckled. Jiang Laoda is really lucky to find such a ferocious fiancé. I'm really worried for him in the future. You're gloating. Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes and shook his head. However, this woman is indeed not someone an ordinary man can handle. Yunfei, you can't talk about him like that. After all, Miss Ling is your senior. In the future, you'll have to rely on her to take care of you in Danwang Hall. What's more, Miss Ling only has a bad temper. She's still quite kind. Ling Yunfei's mother reprimanded. You're right, mother. Ling Yunfei hurriedly nodded. I'm here. At this moment, Qin Feiyang's voice suddenly sounded. Fatso and the other two turned around and couldn't help but laugh. They saw Qin Feiyang hiding behind a small tree, looking behind the three of them. His whole body was already drenched. Ling Yunfei shook his head. Don't look. She was stopped by Lin Chen and didn't chase after us. Phew. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and walked out from behind the small tree. Fatso said disdainfully, Jiang Laoda, back then, when Ling Yunfei and Ling Sheng were fighting, you were able to face so many big shots without batting an eyelid. Why are you afraid of a little girl now? You're really a disgrace to us men. If it was me, I would directly push her down and do her on the spot. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. Don't just talk about it. If you have the guts, go ahead. Fatso's face immediately turned green. He laughed dryly and said, Fat Lord wants to, but there's no other way. Who told her to be my future sister-in-law? This difficult task should be completed by you. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him and looked at Ling Yunfei's mother. He smiled and said, Hello, Auntie. I made a fool of myself just now. Lu Ji smiled and said, Don't say that. Young people have their frivolous moments. Frivolous? Qin Feiyang was stunned and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Lu Ji asked, Can I call you Haotian? Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded. Lu Ji said, Haotian, Yunfei told me about how you helped us. I'm really grateful to you. It's Yunfei's greatest fortune to be able to meet a friend like you. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Auntie, you're too serious. It's just a small matter. Sensible and polite. You're really a good child. Lu Ji's face was full of smiles. She liked Qin Feiyang very much. She sighed and said, If Yunfei is half as promising as you, then I can also smile in the underworld. Ling Yunfei said with dissatisfaction, Mother, your son is not bad either. Also, don't say such inauspicious things in the future. You will definitely live a long life. Yes, yes, yes. Lu Ji nodded with a face full of love. Looking at this warm scene, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but think of a dignified figure. He looked up at the dark night sky and murmured, Mother, how are you in the capital? Ling Yunfei suddenly patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, Mother asked me to book a banquet at Spring Breeze restaurant. First, to thank you. Second, to give us a farewell dinner. How about it? Give me some face. Auntie came in person. Of course, I have to go. Qin Feiyang calmed himself down and nodded with a smile. Fatso hurriedly said, Then what about me? Don't forget that Fat Lord helped me a lot in the past. Ling Yunfei shook his head and said with a smile, I won't forget you. I will definitely have a few drinks with you later. I will accompany you to the end. Fatso chuckled. The four of them held 2 umbrellas and left the Pill Palace while chatting and laughing. In the rainy night, 2 black figures were sneakily following behind the 4 of them. However, there was another person behind the 2 black figures. He was wearing a cloak and a black mask on his face. His face couldn't be seen clearly. Fatso frowned and said in a low voice, Jiang Haotian, Ling Yunfei, do you feel it? Yes. The two of them replied and secretly glanced behind them. There was actually someone on the street in such a heavy rain. Moreover, he was following behind them. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem normal. What's wrong? Lu Ji was puzzled and turned to look. Ling Yunfei hurriedly pulled her and said with a smile, "Mother, it's nothing. Let's go." After saying that, he gave Qin Feiyang and Fatso a look. The two of them nodded. Ling Yunfei did this because he didn't want his mother to worry. After a while, the four of them finally arrived at Spring Wind Restaurant. This was the largest, most luxurious, and most high-class restaurant in Black Bear City. Of course, the cost was also the highest. The people who came in and out were basically the children of wealthy families. Now, Qin Feiyang and the other two were also considered famous people in Black Bear City. When the restaurant waiter saw them, he immediately greeted them warmly and said with a smile, "The four of you, please come in." Ling Yunfei asked, "Where is the private room I booked?" The waiter smiled and said, "It's on the second floor. Give me the umbrella first." Qin Feiyang and Fatso kept the umbrella and passed it to the waiter. At the same time, Qin Feiyang turned his head and looked outside. He saw the two black shadows standing across the street, looking at them. Seeing him look, the two hurriedly turned their heads and walked forward. Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth and a cold light flashed through his eyes. After the waiter put the umbrella on a shelf outside the door, he ran in and led the four of them to the second floor and into a private room. At the same time, the two black shadows turned back and stood outside the door of Spring Wind Restaurant, looking up at the second floor. They were two big men, about 40 years old. Their bodies were very sturdy, and there was a scar on their face, which looked a little hideous and scary. A waiter at the counter saw the two of them and came forward with a puzzled look, asking, "The two of you, would you like to eat?" The two of them retracted their gaze, ignored the waiter, and turned away. It's really strange. The shop assistant was taken aback. He scratched his head and mumbled before continuing to work. Inside the private room, Qin Feiyang glanced around. The decoration here was quite luxurious and the space was very large. Not only was there a restaurant, but there was also a separate tea room. The waiter asked, "What would you like to order?" Ling Yunfei said, "Give me one of your special dishes, 3 bottles of wine, and a glass of juice." "Okay." The waiter shouted, turned around and walked out of the private room, and closed the door. At this time, the masked man, after taking off his cloak, also walked into Spring Wind Restaurant. Why are there so many strange people today? The waiter behind the counter saw the masked man, frowned slightly, and asked, "Sir, do you have a reservation?" "I have an appointment with someone," the masked man said. The waiter said, "What's the number of the private room?" "I'll take you up." "No, I can go up by myself." The masked man waved his hand and went straight to the second floor. He came to Qin Feiyang's private room and directly pushed the door open. Immediately, 3 cold gazes landed on him. The masked man felt a chill on his back. After closing the door, he hurriedly turned around and saw Qin Feiyang and the other two standing in front of him, their eyes all flashing with cold light. He looked at Qin Feiyang and waved his hand, "Don't do it, it's me." "Huh? Why does this voice sound familiar?" Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other with a trace of doubt on their faces. The masked man took off the black mask on his face, revealing a familiar face. It was Jiang Wei. Ling Yunfei frowned and said, "Why are you following us sneakily?" Fatty shouted, "Tell me, is there some kind of scheme or something?" "Let me tell you, Fat Lord is not to be trifled with." "No, no, no." Jiang Wei waved his hand and smiled flatteringly, "If I have any conspiracy, I won't break in directly. In fact, I have something to discuss with my brother." Fatso was stunned and wondered, "Who is your brother?" "Jiang Haotian." Jiang Wei chuckled. Fatso said in surprise, "You're actually half-brothers? Stop talking nonsense." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him and said to Ling Yunfei in a low voice, "It's a bit strange tonight. Take your mother out and arrange another private room. It's best if it's far away from here so that she won't be frightened." "Okay." Ling Yunfei nodded and turned to whisper a few words to Lu Ji. Lu Ji looked at them in confusion and didn't say anything. Chapter 106. "Fatso, close the door," Qin Feiyang said. Fatso quickly ran to close the door, then turned around and stared at Jiang Wei maliciously. "Brother Fatty, believe me, I really don't have any evil intentions, I came with sincerity." Jiang Wei looked panicked and kept retreating. "Sincerity?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, he shouted. "Fatso, don't mess around." Fatso smirked. "You better not have any evil intentions, otherwise, Fat Lord promises to make your chrysanthemum bloom." Jiang Wei immediately clenched his legs, like a frightened mouse. Qin Feiyang sat at the table and said, "Show me your sincerity." Jiang Wei quickly turned around and said, "The city lord and the Mujia's lord want to assassinate you tonight. The two people behind you just now are the city lord's confidants." The fatty shouted, "Preposterous. Are they done yet?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, "Why did you tell me? You and your family are so kind." Jiang Wei smiled bitterly. "To tell you the truth, it was my father who asked me to make peace with you." "Make peace?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. Jiang Wei said, "To be honest, my father is regretting it now. He asked me to get your forgiveness no matter what." Fatso reminded him. "Jiang Laoda, be careful, this may be a trick." "No, why don't you believe me? I'm really here to make peace." Jiang Wei was incomparably anxious. He looked at Qin Feiyang and pleaded, "Even if you don't give face to the monk, give face to the Buddha. For the sake of my cousin, can we reconcile? If you still don't believe me, I'll let my father and the elders come in person to help you deal with the city lord and the Mujia," he added. Qin Feiyang was silent for a while and nodded. "Okay, I'll believe you this time." Jiang Wei breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. Although he was about to leave Black Bear City, he had to get rid of this city lord. Otherwise, the consequences would be endless. Originally, he was still worried that he wouldn't be able to find an opportunity. However, he didn't expect that the Jiang family would help him. However, they still needed a perfect plan. Because there was only one chance, failure was not an option. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a window to the side and behind him. He got up, walked to the window, and gently pushed it open. Torrential rain poured down, and a cool breeze blew against his face. Qin Feiyang craned his neck to take a look. Below him was a very narrow alley. This was the back alley of the restaurant. Not to mention a rainstorm, even if it was a sunny day, very few people would come here. Looking down at the alley, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He turned to look at Fatso and spoke in a deep voice, "Do me a favor. Go and look for the hall master, martial arts hall master, and treasure pavilion master immediately. Tell them that I invited them to watch a good show. Remember, don't let anyone see it." "All right." Fatso nodded, jumped down from the window, landed in the alley, and quickly disappeared into the rainy night. "What do you want to do?" Jiang Wei was surprised. "What?" Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and said, "Tonight, I want to eliminate all these hidden dangers." Jiang Wei's eyes lit up. This was a good opportunity. Now, the Ling family had been destroyed. If the Mu family was also destroyed tonight, then wouldn't Black Bear City be the world of the Jiang family? "I'll go back first." After saying that, Jiang Wei also left the alley. At this time, Ling Yunfei entered the private room and asked doubtfully, "Where's Jiang Wei? What is he doing here? Let's talk about it later. Go and follow him first." See if he really went back to the Jiang family. Go down from here. Qin Feiyang pointed to the window. Ling Yunfei was stunned and quickly jumped down from the window and ran in the direction of the Jiang family. Dong dong. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Who is it? Qin Feiyang frowned. Young Master Jiang, it's me. I'm here to deliver wine and food. The waiter's voice came from outside. Send it to another private room. Qin Feiyang said. Okay. The waiter replied. Wait a minute. Qin Feiyang suddenly said. Young master, do you have any other orders? The waiter asked. Qin Feiyang got up and opened the door. The waiter was standing outside the door with a tray. Qin Feiyang went out and took the 3 pots of wine on the tray. He smiled and said, You can go now. By the way, don't disturb us without my orders. Yes. The waiter respectfully responded and turned to leave. Qin Feiyang returned to the private room, closed the door and windows, put the 3 pots of wine on the table, and took out the Qinkuan bag. With a wave of his hand, the corpses of 2 beasts suddenly appeared on the ground. It was the corpses of the beasts that the Black Bear King had given him. He had originally thought that he would no longer be of any use. But he didn't expect that it would finally be useful today. Next, he took out the Chang Shui and began to get busy. In the private room, a pungent smell of blood quickly filled the air. Soon, Qin Feiyang made 2 blood bags. And he also made 2 animal skin tops. Next, he picked up the 2 animal skin tops and put them out of the window to let the rain wash them. After a while, the bloodstains on the animal skin tops were washed clean. He shook it hard to shake off the excess rainwater, and then carefully looked at it. Although the workmanship was rough, he was quite satisfied. Next, he washed the bloodstains on the 2 blood bags again. Then, he put away the corpses of the 2 beasts and went to the tea room to find a rag. After wiping the blood on the floor, he directly threw the rag out of the window. After a while, Fatso led Luo Xiong, the martial arts hall master, and the treasure pavilion master in through the window. The treasure pavilion master glanced at the private room, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said unkindly, Kid, did you see that? We have all become drowned rats. If you don't have a good show for us to watch later, then don't blame me for being hostile. The most important thing was, they were all people with status, and they were actually allowed to climb through the window? If this were to spread out, who knew how many people would talk about them behind their backs? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I promise that I won't let you down. What is this? Fatso walked to the front of the animal skin tops and blood bags and looked at them curiously. Luo Xiong and the other 2 were also puzzled. At this time, Ling Yunfei, Jiang Wei, and the Grand Elder also came in through the window. Luo Xiong and the other 2 were stunned. Why did even the Jiang family come? And they were also sneaky? Greetings to the 3 lords. Jiang Wei and the Grand Elder bowed. And the 3 nodded. The Grand Elder looked at Qin Feiyang and apologized. Some time ago, I am really sorry, this time I came, I hope I can do something. Let's not talk about the past. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and asked, Where is the Jiang family head? Father is now in the City Lord Mansion. Jiang Wei said with some worry. Why is he still going to the City Lord Mansion? Qin Feiyang frowned. Don't get me wrong, it's because if father doesn't go, the City Lord and the Mu family head will definitely be suspicious, maybe they will change their plan. Jiang Wei hurriedly explained. So that's the case. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and comforted him, Don't worry, your father is the head of the family, he will definitely be able to deal with it. After the matter here is dealt with, we will immediately go to the City Lord Mansion. And Jiang Wei nodded. Immediately, Qin Feiyang directly lifted the tablecloth and grinned at Luo Xiong and the others. I have to trouble you, Grand Elder, Jiang Wei, Fatso, you have to hide inside. What? You want us to hide under the table? Boy, don't push your luck, I'm telling you. Luo Xiong's face turned black on the spot. I have no choice, although this place is big, the only place to hide people is under the table. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Knock knock. At this time, there was another knock on the door. Qin Feiyang made a silent gesture to Luo Xiong and the others. Seeing this, Luo Xiong and the others also frowned and looked at the door. The whole room was dead silent in an instant. Qin Feiyang asked, "Who is it?" "Lord, we are here to deliver wine." A strange voice sounded outside. N? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Before, he clearly told the waiter not to disturb him. And the wine had already been delivered. What wine was there to deliver? Something was wrong. Qin Feiyang's heart sank and said, "You may have made a mistake, our wine has been delivered." The man outside said, "It's like this, our shopkeeper said that you are honored guests, and asked us to send a few more pots." "Do you charge?" Qin Feiyang asked. The man outside replied, "The shopkeeper said that it is free of charge." Honored guests? Free? Qin Feiyang frowned. Originally, he thought that it was someone from the city lord's mansion. But when he heard that the wine was sent by the shopkeeper, he was a little confused. After all, the news that he had refined the best quality pill had already spread in Black Bear City, and it was not impossible for the shopkeeper of Spring Breeze House to curry favor with him. Whether it's true or not, it's always right to take precautions. Qin Feiyang muttered and said to the door, "Wait a moment." He looked at Luo Xiong and the others and whispered, "There's no time, you guys hide inside." "Bastard, I'll deal with you later." Luo Xiong glared at him fiercely and crawled under the table. The martial arts hall master, treasure pavilion master, Jiang Wei, the Grand Elder, and Fatso all followed. Fortunately, the table was big enough, or there would not be enough space. After putting down the tablecloth, Qin Feiyang took off his shirt and said to Ling Yunfei, "Quickly put on the beast skin clothes and put the blood bag on your heart." Ling Yunfei's mind was full of doubts, but he did not ask anything and quickly took off his clothes. After putting on the beast skin clothes, the two of them put on their clothes again and put the blood bag on their heart. After doing all this, Qin Feiyang whispered a few words in Ling Yunfei's ear. Ling Yunfei's eyes suddenly became cold. But he immediately covered it up. Then, the two of them sat at the table and each picked up a wine pot. Qin Feiyang said lightly, "Come in." The door was immediately pushed open. 3 waiters walked in one after another. Each of them carried a tray with 3 pots of wine on it. Seeing that there was only Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei in the private room, the 3 of them were slightly stunned. One of them asked, "Young Master Ling, where's your mother? And where's that fat lord? Why don't I see them?" Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong shuddered. As a waiter of a restaurant, it was impossible for him to ask such a question in front of an important guest. Ling Yunfei smiled calmly. "They have something to do," and went out. "Oh right, why haven't I seen you before? Are you new here?" One of them smiled, "Yes, we just arrived yesterday." Hearing this answer, the 2 of them immediately knew. Chapter 107. Generally speaking, the newcomers would not understand many things and would need a veteran to guide them for a period of time. Especially for a big restaurant like Spring Breeze Restaurant, the requirements for the waiters were very strict. It was impossible to let the newcomers entertain the distinguished guests alone. It was even more impossible to let the 3 newcomers entertain them. Besides, it was just a few pots of wine. Was there a need for the 3 of them to come together? There was no need at all. Therefore, there was a problem with the 3 of them. The 3 of them carried the tray and strode to the dining table. After putting the tray on the table, the 3 of them looked at each other with murderous intent in their eyes. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang's finger moved slightly and knocked over the wine pot, causing it to roll on the ground. The floor was covered with carpet, so the wine pot did not break. Seeing this, the three of them came over to help pick it up. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "It's okay. I can pick it up myself." He bent down and lifted the tablecloth so that he was face to face with Luo Xiong. He whispered, "No matter what happens later, don't come out." His voice was so soft that only Luo Xiong could hear it. After finishing his words, Qin Feiyang grabbed the wine pot, put down the tablecloth, and sat up. At this moment, two of them abruptly leapt up. "What are you doing?" Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong were shocked and angry. The two of them did not say a word, but a cruel smile appeared on their faces. They stretched out their arms. True qi surged in their palms. They slapped at Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong. "Damn it!" Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong roared and hurriedly got up to escape. Just as they got up, the two of them slapped at their chest. "Ah!" With a scream, they flew out horizontally and crashed into the wall behind them. Bang! A big hole appeared in the wall. Like two meteorites, they fell into the alley. Hearing the commotion, the martial arts hall panicked and was about to rush out. Luo Xiong grabbed him and shook his head. He also signaled to the others not to go out. The three waiters walked to the hole and looked down. They saw Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong with their eyes closed and blood spurting out from their chest. At this moment, they looked like two bloody men. Even the puddles around them were dyed red. Da-da. At this moment, the sound of messy footsteps could be heard. It was obvious that the noise just now had alarmed the people of Spring Wind House. The three assistants looked at each other and jumped down from the hole, quickly disappearing into the rainy night. Dong! A series of urgent knocks sounded on the door. "Young Master Jiang, what happened?" "Young Master Jiang, are you there? If you don't answer, we're going to knock the door down." With a bang, the door was knocked open and 6 workers swarmed in. How could this be? Seeing the blood all over the floor, and the big hole in the wall, all 6 of them turned pale. Cough! Suddenly, 2 coughs came from the alley. The 6 of them hurriedly ran over, and when they lowered their heads to take a look, their bodies trembled. The waiter who served Qin Feiyang and Ling Yun jumped down and landed beside Qin Feiyang and Ling Yun, asking anxiously, "Young Master Jiang, young Master Ling, are you all right?" Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and shook his head. "I'm fine." Ling Yunfei also opened his eyes. The two of them weren't putting on an act. They were seriously injured. They were really unconscious just now. But now was not the time to recuperate. After paying such a big price, it would be a waste if they did not bring down the city lord. Qin Feiyang stood up and shouted, "Hall Master, you can come out now." Luo Xiong and his group immediately came out from under the table and jumped beside Qin Feiyang and Ling Yun. Caught off guard, the 6 workers knelt on the spot. Luo Xiong's face darkened. He was about to reprimand Qin Feiyang and Ling Yun when Qin Feiyang spoke first. "Hall Master, you can reprimand us later. Take us to the city lord's mansion first." "Go to the city lord's mansion?" Luo Xiong and the others frowned. "Fatso, you stay behind to deal with the aftermath. Jiang Wei, Grand Elder, you don't need to go either. I will bring Patriarch Jiang back." "Hall Master, hurry up. I will explain to you on the way," Qin Feiyang urged. "Let's go." Luo Xiong grabbed Qin Feiyang and shouted in a low voice. His feet didn't touch the ground as he rushed towards the city lord's mansion. The martial arts hall master grabbed Ling Yunfei. The owner of the precious treasure pavilion followed closely beside them and asked, "What is going on?" Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "Ling Yunfei and I were killed several times because of the city lord, the Mu clan, and the Jiang clan, including this assassination." The martial arts hall master said, "So, the three people just now are also the culprits? Qin Feiyang nodded. Yes, they are the city lord's confidants. Luo Xiong asked, what about the Jiang clan? I don't know. Maybe they found their conscience, or maybe they are afraid, so they took the initiative to apologize to me. But this time, it is all thanks to them. Qin Feiyang immediately narrated the entire matter in a clear and simple manner. Damn it. Such a despicable person is not worthy of being the city lord. Hearing this, Luo Xiong and the martial arts hall master were furious on the spot. The treasure pavilion master sighed. In fact, I already know that the city lord is a villain, but I didn't expect it to be so bad. But this time, you are really too reckless. Since the Jiang clan has already realized their mistake, why don't you just let them testify? No. If we do this, with the despicable character of the city lord, he will definitely bite the Jiang clan. Coupled with the help of the Mu clan, no one will believe the Jiang clan's words. Instead, it will put us in an awkward position. So, we must catch them red-handed and let the city lord and the Mu clan's lord have nothing to say. As for the mess, to be honest, this time I really didn't mess around. Look at this carefully. Qin Feiyang took out the broken blood bag and handed it to the treasure pavilion master. It's actually the skin of a martial ancestor-level beast. The treasure pavilion master took a closer look and was shocked. I see. There are 2 layers of beast skin in the blood bag, plus the beast skin jacket, a total of 3 layers. The defensive power of 3 layers of beast skin can indeed block the full blow of a martial ancestor, but it's still too dangerous. In the future, don't do this kind of thing again. Luo Xiong reprimanded. Qin Feiyang and the treasure pavilion master smiled bitterly. If it's not a last resort, who would joke with their life? They are right in front. The martial hall master suddenly said. They raised their heads and saw the 3 workers running as fast as lightning in the rain. The direction they are going is the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyang whispered. Don't follow too closely, lest they find out. We are also Battle King Realm warriors, can't you have some confidence in us? Luo Xiong and the other 2 rolled their eyes. This brat is looking down on us too much. After 100 breaths, the 3 men entered the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyang originally thought that Luo Xiong and the other 2 would climb over the wall and sneak in. But they didn't. Old Pei, help me take care of Yunfei. After handing Ling Yunfei over to the pavilion master of the precious treasure pavilion, the martial arts hall master's speed suddenly increased. Like a specter, he swiftly ran over and knocked out the 4 guards at the entrance before they could even react. Following that, he barged into the city lord's mansion with great fanfare. Wherever it passed, the guards fell one after another, not even making the slightest sound. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other, and could see a trace of desire in each other's eyes. If they were Battle King, would they need to work so hard? They would directly charge into the city lord's mansion, who would dare to block their way? Luo Xiong laughed, don't be envious, with your talent, becoming Battle King is only a matter of time. 10 breaths later, a dazzling hall entered their line of sight. That was the city lord's mansion's assembly hall. On both sides of the door, there were 2 guards guarding it. After exchanging a few words with the 2 guards, the 3 workers walked in. This time, they didn't break in directly. Instead, they went to the left side of the assembly hall and hid under a window. Qin Feiyang's heart moved, and he whispered, Hall Master, did you bring the image crystal? I left in a hurry just now and forgot to bring it. Luo Xiong shook his head. I brought it. The martial hall master whispered. Qin Feiyang said, then quickly turn on the image crystal and record their conversation. The image crystal could not only transmit sound from 1,000 miles away, but it could also record the conversation or images. Back in Iron Ox Town, Lin Yi's father opened a crystal in a secret room. Lin Han's phantasm immediately appeared, and the 2 talked across the air. That crystal was the image crystal. However, the image crystal was very expensive, and ordinary people couldn't afford it. Moreover, small cities like Black Bear City didn't sell it. If people here wanted it, they had to go to Yen City or Star Moon City to buy it. As for the Lin family in Iron Ox Town, it was naturally given by the Lin family in Yen City. In the assembly hall, the city lord sat on the main seat at the top. Mu clan head and Jiang clan head sat side by side below. The three men were kneeling in the center of the assembly hall at this moment. The city lord looked at the three and asked, "Did you kill them?" "Yes." The three nodded. "Are you sure?" The city lord frowned. At that time, they didn't take any precautions at all. "We attacked with all our strength and directly slapped their hearts. When we went to see them, not only were they dead, but their hearts were also spurting blood. Their hearts must have been broken. So, we are sure that Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei are dead." The three of them vowed solemnly. "Huh, two little beasts, you really don't know what's good for you. How dare you go against this city lord? Don't you think about who is the emperor in Black Bear City? No one who offends me has a good end. You did a very good job, go down and receive your reward." The city lord laughed again and again. He was so arrogant that he almost forgot himself. "Thank you, Lord." The three bowed and retreated. The Mu clan head also smiled and was very happy. The Jiang clan head frowned and got up. "City lord, when Luo Xiong receives the news, I'm afraid he won't let it go." "So what? Even if they guessed that I did it, without evidence, would they dare to come to the city lord's mansion to make trouble? However, I really hope they can come and make trouble. Because in this way, I can report them to Yan Wang, saying that they gathered people to make trouble, slandered me, and despised the royal power. At that time, I'm afraid they will have to get out of Black Bear City." The city lord snorted, his face was full of contempt. But before his voice fell, a sneer came from outside the window next to him. "Lord, did you hear that? If we didn't hold back, we would have been bitten by him now." "Who? Get out of here." Chapter 108. Bang! The window was broken. A figure fell in the hall. "It's Qin Feiyang." He looked up at the city lord and laughed. "You're really forgetful. You can't even recognize my voice. How could this be? Why aren't you dead?" The city lord and Mu Jia lord's eyes widened in disbelief. There's a hint of joy in Lord Zhang's eyes. But the next moment, his face was cold as he shouted, "You dare to come to my door, I'll kill you now." After that, he rushed towards Qin Feiyang with a murderous look. "Yes, kill him. Don't let him escape." The city lord and Mu Jia lord roared. But soon, they were dumbfounded. When Lord Jiang rushed to Qin Feiyang, his murderous aura disappeared instantly. His face was full of apology. "Thank you for your forgiveness." That's right. He didn't want to kill Qin Feiyang, he just wanted to use this opportunity to shift his position. Because once he learns that he betrayed the city lord will definitely not let him go. So he had to leave in advance and stay away from the city lord. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Senior, you're being too polite. This junior has also done something wrong. Please forgive me for offending you." Hearing this, Lord Zhang's heart was even more ashamed, but there was a smile on his face. "Jiang Rong, what are you doing?" After the city lord reacted, he immediately roared. Lord Jiang turned around and looked at the city lord and Mu Jia lord. "What I'm doing, isn't it obvious? You dare to betray the city lord, you're really looking for death." Mu Jia lord roared. Humph. A cold snort sounded. Luo Xiong, the martial hall lord, the treasure pavilion lord, and Ling Yunfei entered the hall one after another. "Why are you all here?" Mu Jia lord's face suddenly changed. He hurriedly retreated behind the city lord, his whole body and mind were instantly overwhelmed by fear. The city lord was also shocked. But when Lord Jiang saw Luo Xiong and the other two, he was relieved. This time, he was not afraid of the city lord's revenge. A dignified city lord has actually repeatedly attacked two juniors. Do you still have any sense of shame? He actually wants to drive us out of Black Bear City. King Yen gave you the power to benefit the people, not to commit crimes. Do you really think that you are the emperor of Black Bear City and can cover the sky with one hand? Let me tell you, just based on what you said just now, it's enough to send you to hell. Luo Xiong roared, his eyes cold and piercing. The city lord's pupils shrank. The word emperor was a taboo in the Grand Qin Empire. Even the royal family did not dare to call themselves the emperor. This was because the emperor represented the authority of the emperor and was supreme. Claiming to be an emperor was the same as looking down on the authority of the emperor, and the 9 generations of his family would be exterminated. In the entire Great Qin Empire, there was only one person who dared to call himself the emperor, and that was the true ruler of the Great Qin Empire. Just now. He did say that. Moreover, he said it without any hesitation. Because he has full confidence that Lord Jiang and Lord Mu will never dare to go out and talk nonsense. But he never expected that the Jiang family head would betray him. It was even more unexpected. These words would be heard by Luo Xiong and the others. This was a serious crime. If the king of Yen were to hear about this, he would not be able to escape death no matter how powerful he was. What should he do? Yes. Don't admit it. He glanced at Qin Feiyang and the others and said lightly. Did this city lord say that? Who can testify? Don't think that you can slander this city lord just because you join forces. There are still laws in this world. Mu Jia's lord shouted. Yes, you are spreading rumors and slandering people. Luo Xiong and the others clenched their hands. They really didn't expect that these two people would be so shameless. Now, they have to admire Qin Feiyang's foresight. If they didn't use the image crystal to record the conversation, even if they were in the right now, they wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. Nothing to say now. But this matter is not over. I will report you to the king of Yen, accusing you of forming a clique and slandering a good person. The city lord sneered. Huh, the martial hall master laughed, took out the image crystal, and said sarcastically. Unfortunately, your conspiracy won't succeed, because I have recorded everything you said just now. What? The city lord was shocked. Swish. The next moment. He dashed out like a bolt of lightning, intending to snatch the image crystal. Humph. The martial hall master snorted, the image crystal disappeared in an instant, and he stepped forward to meet the city lord. Go to hell. The city lord roared. Now, he can only cut off all means of retreat and kill these people. Kill me, you are not qualified. The martial hall master sneered. Both of them were emitting a bright battle chi, and their momentum was soaring to the sky. You guys get out of here. Luo Xiong shouted to Qin Feiyang and the others. Once the battle kings fight, the destructive power caused is extremely amazing. If Qin Feiyang and the others stay here, they will only become cannon fodder. This point, they are also very clear. So when they heard Luo Xiong shout, Qin Feiyang, Ling Yunfei, and Lord Jiang immediately turned around and ran out of the hall. At the same time, Lord Mu was also running away. Boom! Several people just ran out of the hall. The martial hall master and the city lord punched each other. Immediately, a terrifying wave of destructive air rushed out from the two of them like a tidal wave, covering the sky and covering the earth as it surged out in all directions. The tables and chairs were instantly shattered. The stone pillars were constantly collapsing. In an instant, the interior of the palace was destroyed beyond recognition and shattered into pieces. Even the whole hall was shaking. The destruction caused by the battle between battle kings is too terrible. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang and the others retreated again and again. Huh! Suddenly, Lord Jiang frowned and turned to look at the left side of a narrow path. A black shadow was fleeing toward the gate of the city lord mansion. It was Lord Mu. Old dog Mu, where do you think you're going? Lord Jiang roared, his true qi gushed out, with a strong murderous intent. He chased after Mu. Ling Yunfei asked, what should we do? These changes came too fast, making him a little helpless. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, it's better to die than to live in dishonor. The city lord's momentum is gone. He will definitely fight to the death. Let's quickly leave the city lord mansion. But before his voice fell, the city lord's roar came out from the hall. Everyone listen to my order, at any cost, kill Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei. The voice contained endless murderous intent. The two men's faces changed greatly. They quickly turned around and fled outside. The nearby guards also immediately rushed toward the two men. The entire city lord mansion was in chaos. Kill them. Several guards rushed from the front, each holding a sharp weapon in their hands, shining with cold light. Qin Feiyang's face sank. He glanced around and shouted, go to the right, go over the wall. However, after a few steps, a group of guards rushed out in front of them. Bastard, fight! Qin Feiyang was full of hostility. He pulled out the Chang Shui and rushed directly, waving his big hand. Clang! Sparks burst out. The weapons in the hands of the guards were all broken on the spot. Kill! At the same time, Ling Yunfei roared and punched a guard in the chest. The guard screamed and was directly blown away, falling to the ground and dying. However, two guards took the opportunity to attack Ling Yunfei with their palms. But before they got close, Qin Feiyang flew over. The Chang Shui burst out cold light, a knife into the man's back, piercing his heart. Then he pulled out the Chang Shui and pounced on another person. But at this time, a guard rushed over like lightning, stabbing his chest with a sword. Qin Feiyang couldn't dodge in time, and his chest suddenly hurt. Hey! His eyes were full of surprise. The sword didn't hurt him? He looked down. It turned out that it was the animal skin coat that blocked the sword and saved his life. The guard showed a face of disbelief. Die! With the animal skin coat protecting his heart, Qin Feiyang calmed down and waved his hand. The Chang Shui cut through the air, cutting the man's throat. Without the slightest pause, he and Ling Yunfei killed a bloody path side by side. These guards were at least 5-star martial masters, and their strength was not bad. Although Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei cooperated seamlessly, and there was the Chang Shui, perfect martial arts, and the animal skin coat, but gradually, there were many wounds on their bodies. It was still raining cats and dogs. This was a night of bloodshed. In the city lord's mansion, the sound of killing shook the sky, and blood stained the ground. The whole Black Bear city was alarmed. Everyone was rushing in this direction. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei were bathed in blood, stepping on corpses, and finally killed their way to a wall. However, at this time, 5 middle-aged men stood in front of them. Their faces changed color. Without hesitation, they turned and fled. Because those 5 people were the ones who had assassinated and followed them before. They were all martial grandmasters. Stop them! One of the burly men shouted. The group of guards in front immediately rushed forward, cutting off their escape route. At the same time, the 5 burly men quickly caught up, and without saying anything, they directly slapped at the 2 of them. Seeing that Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei were about to die on the spot. Whoosh! But suddenly, streaks of bright battle chi, like sharp arrows, broke through the air, and instantly sank into the chest of those guards and the 5 burly men. Ah! A series of screams resounded through the night sky. All the guards fell to the ground, dead. There was a thumb-sized bloody hole in their chest, penetrating from front to back, and blood spurted out like a fountain. A white figure dashed over at high speed. It was Luo Xiong. His body was surrounded by battle qi, shining brightly, like a bright moon in the dark night. "Thank you, Palace Master," Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei said gratefully. If Luo Xiong had not arrived in time, they would have died. "It's good that you're fine." Seeing that the two of them were only injured, Luo Xiong also let out a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyang asked, "How is the city lord?" Luo Xiong said, "He will definitely die tonight, but there are still 2 battle kings hidden in the city lord's mansion. You should leave quickly. If you want to leave, you have to ask this old man first." At this time, a bone-chilling voice was heard. A black-clothed old man, like a shooting star, quickly entered the sight of the 3 of them. "Go quickly." Luo Xiong turned to look at the black-clothed old man, and shouted at Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. The 2 of them quickly turned and rushed towards the city wall. "You want to leave?" "In your dreams." The black-clothed old man's eyes were filled with killing intent, his old hand waved in the air, and battle qi emerged, turning into a raging wave, and pressed towards Luo Xiong. At the same time, he stepped out, avoiding Luo Xiong. In the blink of an eye. Chapter 109. Old thing, how dare you? Luo Xiong was furious. He punched out. That battle qi dissipated on the spot. Following that, he turned around and turned into a ray of light, chasing after the 2 battle qi that shot towards Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong. Cold moon. But at this moment, the old man in black shouted in a low voice. Behind him, a full moon rose slowly, as if it was condensed from ice, emitting a mighty aura. The rain in the sky. The water on the ground. It was all rapidly freezing at this moment. "Kill." The old man in black pointed at the sky. The cold moon trembled in the air and cut through the sky, whistling towards Luo Xiong. This aura, Qin Feiyang's body stiffened. This was a battle art. It was another supreme divine ability that surpassed martial arts. Only by stepping into the War King could one cultivate it. However, Luo Xiong's expression was extremely gloomy. If he continued to save Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong, he would definitely be severely injured by the cold moon. But if he did not save them, the 2 of them would definitely die. Damn it. He cursed and did not retaliate. Instead, he continued to chase after the 2 battle qi. Qin Feiyang shouted, "Palace Master, I have a way, don't worry about us." "You have a way?" Luo Xiong was stunned. He made a prompt decision and turned around. If it were anyone else, he would definitely not believe them. But in his eyes, Qin Feiyang was a kid who could create miracles. Therefore, he trusted him unconditionally. Crash. Battle qi rushed out of his body like a torrent, like a huge waterfall, rushing up into the sky. In an instant, a gigantic fist appeared out of nowhere. It was like a mountain, releasing a shocking aura. "Tyrant fist, kill!" Luo Xiong roared. The giant fist broke through the air and collided with the cold moon. Boom! A loud explosion shook the heavens and the earth. The giant fist and the cold moon exploded at the same time, illuminating the night sky like fireworks. Puff! Bang! Luo Xiong and the old man in black both spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. At the same time, Qin Feiyang grabbed Ling Yunfei and entered the castle. Whoosh! The 2 streams of battle qi whizzed past the place where they had disappeared and hit the wall in front of them. The wall instantly collapsed. The few houses in front of them also suffered an unexpected calamity and were razed to the ground. Fortunately, the people in the house heard the commotion and came out. Otherwise, they would have died on the spot. The next moment, Qin Feiyang brought Ling Yunfei back to their original position. Looking at the ruins in front of them, their faces were filled with fear. The black-clothed old man had already stabilized his body. He sneered and said, "Luo Xiong, you can't even protect your disciples. What qualifications do you have to be the pill hall's hall master? He thought that Qin Feiyang and Qin Haodong were already dead. But when he looked past Luo Xiong and saw Qin Feiyang, his old eyes suddenly filled with disbelief. How could this be? Not only was he not dead, he wasn't even injured. Whoosh! At this moment, Luo Xiong furiously attacked. Because he didn't need to look back. He only needed to see the reaction of the old man in black to know that Qin Feiyang and Qin Haodong were fine. And now, it was undoubtedly a good chance to counterattack. He took a big stride forward and dove down. His fist was covered with battle chi. Boom! A punch landed on the black-clothed old man's lower abdomen. A.O. The black-clothed old man was sent flying on the spot. He bent his body and broke one small tree after another. He let out a beast-like howl. Finally, with a rumbling sound, he smashed a fake mountain and smashed into the ground. Hurry up and leave! Luo Xiong shouted without turning his head back. He took the opportunity to chase after them and rushed towards the fake mountain. Is this the strength of a warlord? Ling Yunfei clenched his fists tightly. Looking at Luo Xiong's back, his eyes were filled with desire. If it wasn't for that unforeseen event, I wouldn't just be a warlord now. I might even have stepped into the War Emperor realm. Qin Feiyang muttered secretly. He patted Ling Yunfei's shoulder and shouted, "What are you daydreaming about? Hurry up and leave." Ling Yunfei quivered. He hurriedly followed behind Qin Feiyang and ran out from the gap in the wall. The city lord has ordered that we must kill them. Chase! At the back, a large group of guards chased after them. Mud splashed everywhere. Outside the wall was a 2-meter-wide alley with a finger-deep rainwater. Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong ran wildly in the alley. Why are there so many guards? Hearing the commotion behind him, Ling Yunfei turned around to look, and his face immediately paled. It seems that the city lord has been cultivating his own forces all these years. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. It's Jiang Haotian. And Ling Yunfei. The streets around the city lord's mansion had already become a sea of people. When they saw Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong running wildly in the alley, their faces were filled with shock and bewilderment. Get out of the way, don't block the way. Qin Feiyang shouted. What happened inside? Why is there such a big commotion? Everyone blocked the exit of the alley, asking questions at the same time. What should we do? Ling Yunfei said anxiously. Qin Feiyang looked up and shouted, Go to the roof. The two of them suddenly stepped down, and with the help of the force, they jumped several meters high and landed steadily on the roof next to the city lord's mansion. The guards followed them and jumped up one by one. Qin Feiyang turned around and shouted, This is a good chance, don't be soft. The two guards had just jumped up when they were kicked away by him on the spot. They crashed into the opposite wall and howled in pain. Ling Yunfei also turned around immediately, holding a dagger in his hand. Seeing a guard climbing up, he quickly ran over and stabbed him. The tip of the dagger sank into the guard's forehead. The guard screamed and fell down, dying on the spot. What the hell is going on? Seeing Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong crazily killing the city lord's mansion's guards, the hearts of the people on the street were set off by stormy waves at this moment. Were the two of them crazy? Did they not know that they were seeking their own deaths? In just a dozen breaths, more than 20 guards had died under Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong's hands. At this moment, many guards had already climbed up to the roofs and pounced towards Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong's direction. Retreat! Qin Feiyang waved his hand, turned around and quickly ran away. After Ling Yunfei got rid of a guard, he quickly followed up. Some houses were high. Some were low. However, the two of them were as agile as monkeys. Their speed was not affected at all. The group of guards behind them were also as anxious as shooting stars. They chased after them madly. The roof tiles kept breaking. Ling Yunfei said in a low voice, "We can't go on like this." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and said, "Feng Cheng and the others should have heard the commotion. They are running towards the Pill Palace." The two of them changed their direction. After running for a few steps, Ling Yunfei shouted, "Not good, there are two people chasing after us." Qin Feiyang glanced behind him. Indeed, there were two guards, one tall and one short, quickly approaching them. The short guard held a big iron bow in his hand and carried a quiver of arrows on his back. The weapon in the tall guard's hand was two big iron hooks that looked like eagle claws. The tip of the hooks shone with cold light. It was extremely terrifying. His heart sank. Black Bear City did not have any auxiliary martial techniques. The people who could catch up with them must be martial great masters. He did not expect that there would be so many martial great masters in the city lord's mansion. The tall guard sneered, "Let's see where you can escape to today." At the same time, the short guard pulled out two arrows with a backhand motion. Whoosh! The two arrows pierced through the sky like lightning and shot towards the back of Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong's. "Be careful!" Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. The two of them stepped out at the same time. The two arrows brushed past their arms and broke a few roof tiles. They directly penetrated the wood of the roof. Chi. Wisps of black smoke rose into the air. "What? It's poisonous." Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong's scalp exploded. The tip of the arrow was smeared with poison. "Go down!" Qin Feiyang shouted. The two of them jumped down and landed on the street. They quickly ran into an alley. The two guards also followed into the alley. The alley was connected in all directions. The four of them chased crazily inside. Because there were too many intersections, Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong had a chance to catch their breath. A moment later, the two of them stopped in the middle of an intersection. Ling Yunfei looked at the alley on the left. His eyes lit up and said, "There's a garbage dump over there. Let's hide there." "Hide in the garbage dump?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and hurriedly shook his head. He could not do such a thing. He looked at the alley on the right. More than 10 meters away, there were a few baskets piled together. Inside the baskets, there was some waste paper. It was just that the waste paper had been dissolved by the rain. It looked a bit disgusting. But it was better than hiding in the garbage dump. Qin Feiyang ran over without hesitation. Ling Yunfei also quickly followed. As soon as the two of them hid, the two guards came to the middle of the intersection. Seeing Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong run away, the tall guard shouted angrily, "Otherwise, there are too many intersections. We would have killed the two little bastards." The short guard's face was also livid. He pulled out an arrow and shot at the garbage dump over there. Then he pulled out another arrow and turned around to aim at the pile of baskets. "Damn it!" Qin Feiyang secretly shouted. "Don't shoot." Ling Yunfei prayed in his heart. Whoosh! However, the short guard finally shot the arrow. "Go!" Qin Feiyang shouted. The two of them lifted the baskets hard and ran to the other side without looking back. Seeing this, the short guard was overjoyed. He quickly pulled out two arrows and shot the arrows in one breath. The two arrows were like two poisonous snakes, shuttling rapidly in the rainstorm. With a puff, they sank into Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong's shoulders. At that moment, blood splashed in the sky. "Take the antidote pill and play dead," Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. Ling Yunfei took out two antidote pills secretly and handed one to Qin Feiyang. They were facing the two guards with their backs, so the two guards didn't see their little movements. After taking the antidote pill, the two of them fell to the ground and lay motionless in the rain. "Now it's time for them to die," the short guard sneered. The tall guard shook his head and said, although the tip of the arrow is smeared with the one-horned python's venom, we still can't be careless. Let's go and confirm it. The short guard disdainfully said, "You think too much. They are only 5-star martial masters. The one-horned python's venom is enough to kill them instantly. No matter what, we have to confirm it," the tall guard said in a low voice. Okay, you have the final say." The short guard waved his hand and said. Subsequently, the two of them strode towards Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. "What should we do?" Ling Yunfei asked in a low voice. Qin Feiyang thought for a while and said in a low voice, "Don't we also have the one-horned python's venom? We'll give them a taste of their own medicine. When they get close, we'll act according to the situation." Good idea. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.